characters inhabit is known as Calenhad. And all across this area, both in rumors trickling in from travelers and weary passersby, as well as some local events that your characters have been witnessing, there is a consensus that you have entered the end times, and there are all manner of apocalyptic signs being witnessed. And as a result, there is kind of this air of tension, and the whole concept that society itself, at a local level or even across the entire world, could break down in the face of this impending doom. And so, before all of this, you had agreed to take on a task. This is a recent development, in other words, the appearance of these signs. And you actually just completed it with a band of your fellow companions. All of you have been in Haven, at the very least, for the past a few weeks. For some of you, you may be lifelong inhabitants of this area. And I believe it would be good to determine some bonds between the characters here, as that would also give an opportunity for introductions between the various characters. And I think based on your class, you have some specific bond questions to ask. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. John Smith, as an upstanding villager of Haven, would you care to start by leading in?
No, because I don't.
No?
I don't get any of those.
Okay. So
I get bonds as we go.
All right. So you guys are all well acquainted with John. You know his face. You've gone on this little task with him, but you don't have any bonds as of yet defined strictly by the Dungeon World system. So, Mert, are you there?
I am. Yep.
Okay. Do you want to try and lead in with some questions here?
Sure. Where was it again?
And also briefly introduce your character. I suppose John Smith didn't introduce himself, but is there anything you'd like to add, John, about who they see when they look at you?
Well, John Smith, he has a wide-brimmed hat. He's got an earnest face. Okay. And he makes a living as a scribe here in Haven.
What is John Smith's charisma?
It is unknown.
Okay.
I assign stats whenever I have to make a roll.
Okay, so it's a good-looking face, but we're not quite sure how good-looking it is.
Schrodinger's face.
That hat really masked his identity.
That's right.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Well, Mert this time around is a bard.
Okay.
Did
you see yourself as a traveling bard, having maybe arrived in Haven more recently?
Yes. Yes. I would say I mean, there are obviously options wise. There's like a world traveler type. There's a more, stationary, and then kind of in between. I think my guy's the in between guy. Like, he's seen the world, or at least some of it, definitely. But he's not traveled everywhere there.
Right, because then it wouldn't be appropriate for you to be a starting level bard.
Right.
What instrument does Mert play?
Shoot, I think I wrote harmonica to be unique, because in real life I actually like harmonicas.
Yeah, and where did you get the harmonica from?
The first minstrel I heard that inspired me to entertain music in general. Like, I had not ever even touched a musical instrument, and I heard him and kind of asked him a lot of questions, and he gave me like his old beat up one, and it's still the one I carry along, like his original one.
Okay, so
I mean, I've like fixed it and mended it and everything, so it works. You
treasured it. You don't want it to look like a Thanks.
Right, like I've taken care of it. He had as well, but it was like his old. He had other instruments he learned.
I got
But that was the one that.
But he's never cleaned it.
No,
that's how it gets its acoustic
the soul,
properties.
the old minstrel carries on.
Yeah. All right. Do Do you have some bond questions? You
I
think
do.
we could-
I
Good.
actually, I think I might have the most. I have 6 of them. I don't know if everybody
Okay.
has
Oh my
6.
god.
Well, yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think you need to do all of them.
Yeah.
Well,
why
they're
don't we
not.
do at
They're
least,
not
like,
real
3?
difficult ones.
Yeah.
Like the first one is which of you has traveled with me the longest.
Okay.
So I'm gonna probably say the druid or the ranger because if John Smith is a scribe here, he's been a little more stationary. So
Yeah.
I've never left.
I don't
Yep,
think John
there you go.
Smith would be an appropriate candidate for that one.
No, but he will come up in one of them.
I'm
believe
sure
me.
he will. Yep. Okay.
So it's got to be. I'm gonna say the ranger because he's probably traveled more. Like,
Okay.
not, So, Mace, what's your actual character's name?
Makoro.
That's not too difficult for my brain. Oh, I see it
Can
in
you-
the thing. Okay,
Can you
Mac
spell it?
Macoro. Yeah, Macoro.
Gotcha.
Can we have permissions to see other characters?
Yeah, I can give it to you.
Why you want to look at John Smith?
I want to see how we're bonded.
Why you peeping?
Okay.
Well, let me do my bond, and then
Yeah.
we'll.
Let's keep it moving. Yep.
Which of you do I share a complicated past?
Could be me.
Druids lend
Okay.
themselves to complicated pasts, I feel.
Well, maybe he doesn't like music. He doesn't like the
Wow.
forest being disturbed.
Mm.
And maybe I played my harmonica a little too much in the woods. Okay, are you Ragnar?
Yeah.
Okay, which of you have I heard stories about before I met them?
John Smith's
The
reputation.
legendary John Smith.
No, no one's heard of John
No.
Smith.
No.
Could maybe see that being Ragnar. Maybe that's what brought
Yeah.
you to the woods in the first place. You had heard of this
Yep.
shapeshifter. I mean, that this is a world where magic exists, but it's not just this incredibly mundane thing where you have druids left and right. So that would make sense to me. For
Okay,
that bond.
I
Yeah.
like that. Well, especially he with the shapeshifting is the most unique of us, for sure.
Yeah, that could be argued.
Okay, well, the next one, this is where I think John Smith comes in.
All
Which
right.
of you is the subject of my next masterpiece?
You want to write a ballad of John Smith?
I
Or
guess
sing a
if
ballad?
I impressed you already.
Yeah, well, I think it's more like seeing that you have a potential that, is very, like, high ceiling. You know what I mean?
Your whole story is yet in front of you, John Smith.
All right.
Exactly.
That's
There is much to still tell. Whereas Ragnar and Makoro,
Makoro.
Macaroon.
we have Macaroon. Yep. See,
Macaron.
yeah, he'll find a way. All right, then. Which of you trust me the most, and why?
I say I would. I think because
I think I was going to suggest that too. Good.
Yeah, if we've traveled together, there must be
Yeah.
some. Okay. And then, on the other hand, which of you trust me the least, and why?
Seems like a good one for John.
Yep.
He is a
Why am I?
stranger.
Why am I the subject of your masterpiece?
Yeah,
What
he's
makes
staring
me
at me
the...
a little too
Right.
closely.
Yep. Perfect.
All right. I will write both those as the why.
Okay. That seems good for your bonds. You've got something with everybody.
Yep.
What was that?
Now,
4 questions?
that was 6 questions.
Oh, that was all. Okay, good. All set. Ragnar, is there anything you'd like to tell us about your character? And then if you see your bond questions, you can just go ahead and proceed with those.
Sure. All right. So
And
my
Thomas,
parents.
I'm making everybody's able to be looked at when you need.
Okay. All right. So I'm a druid. I have haunting eyes, a furry hood, and weathered hides. my drive is preservation, so I want to eliminate an unnatural menace. There must be something.
Is
Yeah.
it
You
merch?
could
Not
consider this
eliminated.
entire apocalypse an unnatural menace, I suppose.
Or turd.
Yeah, or turd. Yeah.
Yeah, turd, definitely.
My background is Beastkin, which is a kind of like shapeshift ability. So overall, that was kind of what I figured.
Okay, I've got a question for
Overall.
you, Ragnar. Right to interrupt you. Was your ability something you were born with, or were you instructed in it?
I would say born with.
Okay. And growing up, what was your community like? Like, how many druids did you live with, or at what point did you kind of strike out on your own? Because I could think of like, just an immediate family, or like a little clan, or something like a pack. I think there's a lot of different interpretations you go with it, and I'd just be curious to know where Ragnar came from.
Yeah, okay. So I want to say maybe there's a roaming pack of prairie druids.
Okay. I like that.
And I don't know if something catastrophic had happened to them, or maybe just I sensed this purpose that I had to come
Yeah.
to
I'm
Haven
sure at
to
some
deal with
point
some
within
kind
the
of
pack,
menace. Or
there's any number of good reasons for kind of leaving temporarily or for some quest, as you mentioned. And as a druid, are you capable of shape-shifting into any animal that you choose?
It looks like it's limited to your homeland. So if I picked, I guess, prairie, you'd be basically like the plains. That was one of the options.
Yeah.
So I can pick those, and over time, if I commune with an animal spirit and I perform a deed for it, I can add it to my shapeshift list.
Excellent. But in general, I feel you probably do move around in a humanoid form. You
Yeah.
don't normally be in. Okay. Great. Thanks. When you're ready, you can ask some bond questions.
All right. So which of you requires my guidance? Would that be the bard? Did the bard come for me? What was the bond with Mert again?
I have a complicated past with
yeah.
you, and then I've heard of you, stories about you before we met. Oh no. Yes, correct.
So I'll say maybe two of these questions, which I'll just bring up both at once because we can pick which one fits better. Which of you requires my guidance, and about which of you do the spirits whisper? Maybe the second one is more obvious. I think the spirits whisper about John Smith.
Oh boy. Don't tell John Smith that.
The scribe.
But now, does John Smith also require my guidance? Or is that too much for John Smith?
Oh boy.
I mean, in some ways, obviously very meta. Like you'd think so, right? Because we're like we all have like a class and have things, and he's still just a villager scribe. So like you'd think he
you're
needs
better than
guidance
me?
to figure out. Well, that's why I'm saying meta. I'm not saying my character's thinking that, but like you would probably get that. Like he hasn't figured out who he is yet, So I'd say that.
I'm John Smith.
That could be.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I see the next two. The next two might fit pretty good. So, which of you dismisses me as a primitive?
Oh
I
man.
feel like that could be Mert.
Yeah.
And that could be part of our complicated past.
That's our part of our complicated past.
Right.
Yep.
Since he can't appreciate the music you play, that kind of suggests that he's kind of just this beast that doesn't appreciate the finer things in life. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
I like that.
Okay.
And then the last one is which of you has also seen the spirit realm? I feel like that could be Macro.
Yeah.
Rangers tend to be pretty in touch with nature since they're ranging around so much. That makes sense.
That's all of mine. So the spirits whisper about John Smith. John Smith requires my guidance.
Well,
At least
you
I think so.
Yeah, you think that I require your guidance.
Mert dismisses me as a primitive. Macro has also seen the spirit realm.
Yeah, I like it. I think somehow we're all gonna call him Macro from now on, and it's just not right, but it just comes off that way.
Mac! Mac!
Mac makes more sense, yeah.
Okay. Does that cover your bonds then, Ragnar? I think we've got some nice little connections there. Okay. Mac, tell us about you.
So I have wild eyes, a hooded head, all-weather clothing, and a rugged body.
What was the last thing?
Rugged body.
Ah, okay.
We've noticed.
Oh,
I need to clarify. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
John Smith, who the spirits are talking about, has noticed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I am a naturalist, which means I help an animal or spirit of the wild.
Can see you and Ragnar getting along just fine.
And my background is Outrider, and that gives me a scout ahead ability.
Okay. When did Mac kind of embark on this part of his life? Was it something early on? Was it kind of the plan all along, or can you kind of look back into your character's past and tell me kind of how he got to this point?
Well, my father always seeks to help the spirits of the wild, and I
Okay.
also do.
So you're following in his footsteps a little bit here.
That is true.
Okay. Did he kind of teach you the trade then as well?
Most of what I know.
Okay. What kind of weapon do you use, Mac?
So I have I think it's called a fair bow. A fine bow, excuse me.
Can you spell that in the chat for us? Because sometimes I want to just make sure I'm hearing you correctly. Thank you.
And I also have a short sword as well.
Okay. When was the last time you used the fine bow?
Just the other day, arrows practicing.
Okay. Do you have some questions of bonds that you could ask?
I do.
Okay.
So the first one I have is, which of you have I guided before? Which I think would go to Mert.
Right. Seems like a perfect traveling companion for a bard to help him get through some of the more lesser known paths in between cities as he travels around. Does that sound good to you, Mert? We'll say yes. I think that's good because he might be AFK.
What was that? Nope, I was here, but
You
I will
forgot
have
to address him as Turd.
Oh
His
no!
proper name.
Oh,
All right.
Turd, Mac,
Turd
Beast.
Okay.
And then the next one is, which of you is a friend of nature?
Boy.
Yeah, these are tailor made.
Crossover.
All right.
So Ragnar.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I missed what mine was. Stupidly, I had my headphones off for a second. So, what was the bond I have with you?
Which of you have I guided before?
Oh yeah, that makes sense. That's probably why we've traveled. I trust you've led me safely through the chaos of what's going on in the world.
Safely through the chaos.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, which of you has no business being out here?
Smith.
John Smith.
What? In the village? I have no business being in the village?
You
It's
gotta-
in my goddamn
World-
class name.
In this world.
Maybe it's
Oh
a
my
bard.
god.
No business being where?
here.
Yeah, I don't think a good answer for any of us is that going to be. So.
That could be me. Like, why am I in civilization? I don't know.
Oh, that could.
But I have a.
What's your last question?
Which of you looks more like prey to me?
Wow.
John Smith. John Smith.
I'll concede to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you're right. That should be Ragnar. Well,
Me or Mert.
Mir, yeah, Mir,
It
one of the two of
depends
us.
what is here.
I would say Mert, Because I feel like a bard wouldn't be as fit to be out in the wild than a barbarian.
Yeah, I agree. I'm more out of place where I think here means to your guy.
I'd say so as well.
All right. Good. I know a
Yeah.
little bit about all your characters. I know a bit about the bonds between you. I still believe one of your methods of generating XP has to do with the bonds you have with each other. So do keep this in mind as you play through the sessions to try and deepen, further understand, or in some way act upon these bonds. As you mentioned, or as I mentioned in the my chat bubble that I gave you to introduce the scenario to you, one thing that I did mention is right now there's three main factions that have risen within Haven. Risen as in being preeminent currently, with society being threatened and challenged by the revolutionary concepts of what life means now that it's apparently ending quite soon. There's quite a bit of change floating in the air right now, but you do know a little bit out of each of the three factions. So this is my next little information for you here. So leading the first faction is the current government of the town, Bartholomew Radcliffe. He's clearly been under a lot of stress lately, since typically the prevailing government leading into a crisis might either be blamed or be considered insufficient for the current times. There is a new religious organization that has sprouted up quite recently within the town called the Church of the Golden Hand. This coinciding with a general decline of faith in the current pantheon of gods that had been trusted in, by a large swath of the population before all of these ill tidings began. And another recent voice being more loudly articulated within the town is essentially a large percentage of the poorer members of Haven calling for a complete revolution in government and looking to basically have some sort of communist system implemented. So there's some information about the factions. And then the last thing I have for you is a little bit of information about the adventure you just completed. So, over the past several days, you traveled to a nearby geographic feature close to Haven called the Silver Spike Caverns. You agreed to do this for one of the wealthier residents of the town, Basil Furwick. And Basil was after a particular helmet, rumored to have been located somewhere in the caverns. You succeeded in finding the helmet. And I actually have a few questions for the party now about how that all transpired. Okay, let me scroll down here. Okay, Mac, I've got a question for you.
Let's go away.
Okay, you guys are standing in front of Lord Furwick's estate. You've got the helmet back. I'm asking you, which one of the party is actually holding the helmet right now? And I'm not trying to ask a trick question here. This is just a little flavor element of Dungeon World that I like to throw in every now and then, where whoever you say, that just is going to be fact going forward right now, for who's actually holding the helmet.
Do you want me to add that to my equipment?
Oh my god.
Okay.
There's your answer.
Yeah, I guess. No,
There's your answer, Fishbulb.
Yeah, I'm like, so yeah, you could if you want. If you want you to be holding the helmet, then yes, go ahead and add it.
equipped. I'll just be holding on to it.
Okay. Thomas, or sorry, Ragnar. The helmet, as you've all discovered, grants +1 to one of the attribute modifiers. Which attribute does it enhance? Dexterity? Okay. John, why do you think it has this magical property?
Why do I think?
That this, yeah.
Oh boy. Some sort of wizard must have crafted it.
Okay, so when it was created, it was given power by the crafter.
That's what I reckon.
Okay, I'm sure that's the case. By the way, Mac, you did suffer an injury when retrieving the helmet. So roll a d4. Okay, you've taken 3 damage by the start of the session. You haven't healed that. Yeah, so you're a little banged up. Mert, what type of creatures did you encounter in the caves when you obtained the helmet? Oh,
Put him on
no,
ice.
Mert.
Put him on ice.
Well, I'm gonna just kick it back to Ragnar again. Ragnar, what type of creatures did you encounter in the caves as you obtained this helmet?
Prairie dogs.
Prairie dogs. Were they
Mutant-
vicious?
Yeah.
Hold on. Maybe hyenas.
Okay, I like that.
More cave dwelling,
Sure.
according to Lion King.
Yeah. Maybe they were drawn to some rotting corpses in there or something, but okay, there were hyenas in the caves. Mert. Okay. Mac. Or no, sorry, John. Nope, John. This one's for John.
Okay.
We're wrapping things up here. John, you found a magical scroll in the caves.
Well, dang.
I'd like you to roll a d6 now to determine its spell. Okay. John, you cannot discern the script on the spell, but perhaps with the proper talent or scholarship, the spell's effects could be determined before casting it. However, you have a pretty good idea of how to cast the spell. So just at will, if you want to just let it loose, just let me know and it'll be done.
Are there any magically sort in the village?
So there's no self-proclaimed wizard or warlock presiding in the village. However,
We'd run him out of town.
you got the impression that your patron seems to have an interest in such things, so perhaps he might be able to help you if you get the opportunity to ask him.
All right.
This Basil Furwick gentleman.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last question is for the party. Without conferring with each other, type the faction that you think your character would most likely support in the town's current climate. None is also an acceptable answer. So everyone let me know when you've got one in mind and you've got it typed into the text box without sending it. I think we'll probably just be waiting on Mert at the end. All right. Does everyone have it but Mert?
Not yet.
Okay, that's fine. No rush.
But Mert.
Turd.
Yep.
Turd. Yeah.
So there's only 2?
There are 3 factions. There
Church
is.
of Golden Hand.
Yep.
Commune of Hope.
Yep. And look at the above the church.
Oh, Bartholomew himself.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Okay. Seems like the three of you have something. So I'm gonna just count it down. Hit enter. Oh, is Mert there? Oh, okay. I'm gonna count. I heard like a yeah. All right. I'm just gonna count down on 1. You guys hit enter. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Interesting. And you know what? I'm gonna let you guys let that impact you as little or as much as you want from a meta sense. I'm just leaving that entirely up to you. But just a little thought experiment there. Okay. So to return to the present, you are assembled with your fellow party members in front of Basil Furwick's estate, fresh off of obtaining the helmet as you were contracted to do so. Basil Furwick's home is a handsome 3-story house of stone-wrought architecture. There is a group of about 24 villagers very close to you next to the gate leading into the estate. You recognize one of the villagers, Zadak Ogren, a known member of the Commune of Hope. You also see a robed, hooded man standing back further towards the street, calmly observing the situation. You also see that the steward, who you had basically escort you in last time when you received the request from Basil, is further into the courtyard, but he's standing back looking apprehensively over at you and the crowd next to the gate. And we will begin play.
Does Zadok know me?
Yes. He says, oh, hello there, John. I think it's about time we get these nobles to provide their fair share. That's what me and my chaps here are here to demand.
That sounds
as is
good to
our
me.
right. Will you help us?
Well, as best I can.
So, as I mentioned, there is an iron wrought gate and a fence that kind of wraps around the perimeter, at least of the part of the estate that you can see visibly. And at the tops of the fence, there are spiked tips. So it's a sturdy construction. However, that would not prevent the most intrepid adventurers from finding some way in. You also know that you are known to the steward, and I think Mac is just holding the helmet. So he clearly sees that you've obtained what his master had asked of you. So it's a bit of a tricky situation here.
Y'all planning to storm the gates?
Well, you know, John, that we don't want things to come to that if we can help it, but they haven't been listening to our arguments, and
why should they? They got food and you don't.
You have a good way of putting things, John. However, I think between all of us here, I think we could make quite a persuasive argument if we're able to break down this gate.
Well, you got to decide what's important to you.
Okay. All right. Zadok scratches his head and says, would you be with us, John?
Well, I've got this magic scroll I found. I need him to translate it for me so I can know what it does.
He says, I heard something about that. You went on a little adventure nearby, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, look at that, a magical scroll. Well, I suppose maybe he draws you in a bit closer and has you turn your back away from the steward out in the courtyard.
Mm-hmm.
He says, now suppose we give you a little distance.
Yeah.
And you go on in there. We'll even let you complete your business. But maybe when you're on your way out, you just help the gate close not so quickly so that we can come in afterwards and see to it that all parties involved can get their fair share.
That sounds right fair to me.
All right. Sounds good to us, John. All right, boys. New plan. Let's head back to the Lion's Paw for now. And you guys recognize that as one of the 2 inn taverns in the town. and the crowd dissipates. The hooded kind of observer is still here. He kind of watches the crowd go away and then kind of smiles with amusement at this turn of events, but just is still standing calmly a distance away. The steward approaches the gate and says, "Oh, John Smith, wonderful. I don't know how you disbanded that mob, but the
Well,
Mr.
they're
Basil has been eagerly awaiting your return."
they're good people. You just got to treat them like people.
Yes, I suppose so. But yes, do come in. I see that your associate there is holding what I hope is the very helmet that Mr. Furwick desires. All right. The steward has two of the guards of the estate open the gates, and you are all given chance to head on inside through the courtyard into the manor house. Okay. I am assuming you all do so. Otherwise, correct me if I'm wrong, that you'll just go on inside. Okay. You head through the main entrance into Basil Furwick's lovely home. And brought in through the antechamber, you cross through the parlor and are brought into a study where there's about a dozen books on a shelf, some dusty tables with scatters of like rolls of paper and a few documents, and Furwick has been kind of waiting for you in here. You see he's seemed to have finished writing a stack of letters and hands them to the steward for distribution as all of you are shown inside into the study. And he says, Mac, I think that was your name. Looks like you've got the merchandise. May I see it?
No,
Is that a no?
no, you can see it if you'd like. I'll hand it.
Okay. He looks at it carefully. In particular, you see him kind of tracing his hands along some of the contours of the visor of the helmet. Kind of like taps his thumb in a few spots to kind of test like the durability, thickness of the metal, and says, "Oh, this must be it. Has an authentic air. Yes. You must understand." He composes himself and sets the helmet down on his desk. "It may seem foolish of me chasing after cultural relics like this in these uncertain times, but it is my belief that mankind must not give in to only their base instincts of survival, even when times are dark. What distinguishes us, what civilizes us from the rest of, well, life forms. You've done very well. Of course, payment is ready for you. And at this, I want to direct your guys' attention to the Unlimited Dungeons book. If you go to page 3, you get the description of a valuable piece of loot. And for a valuable piece of loot, which is what your patron considers this helmet, he is willing to give you one of these payments plus his bonus payment, which he has yet to disclose to you. Now, some of these might be out
Night
of his
of
ability
feasting.
to pay. That could be one of them. He was prepared to give you a purse of gold coins, but if there's something else that you would request of him, you have this opportunity to ask for that instead.
What about the helmet?
No, that was the nature of the job. I'm afraid I must insist that, believe me, he leans forward and says, when I tell you the full range of compensation, I think you will agree that it is worth your while to sell me this helmet. But basically, This is your chance. He's going to give you the purse of coins and then discuss his bonus opportunity, unless you state that you want something else.
I'm thinking a quality weapon right now.
All right.
I mean,
Now
that
the
only
problem with
helps
that is that's
one person.
difficult to divide. Yes.
Exactly, that's the issue.
So I would
What was
vote for a purse of coins.
What about a healing potion?
Again,
See if it's time we can use it.
Did you see how many coins?
it's a purse of coins.
It's a purse of coin. We're not gonna go into like you have 864 gold, 29 silver, and 4 copper. We're using the condensed. So this would be
Okay.
either a purse of coins carried by the party or a fourth weight of coins carried by each member of the party.
Okay. I mean,
He slides the purse across the table and says, "You may divide this amongst yourselves as you will. I may have even have added a few more to make sure it's a proper purse, so to speak. However, I have another incentive for you. Should you be willing to just carry on with me a bit longer? I am preparing to depart Haven, my household and I. I would appreciate if you could remain on the premises for the remainder of this day. Should there be a disturbance, perhaps some of these crowds I've seen outside of the gates or anything of that nature, I would ask that you join my more than capable staff of guards in the defense of the estate. At the conclusion of the night, I will have finished my preparations to depart, and I will sign over the will of the estate to the 4 of you. It is possible, of course, that nothing may happen at all here, and you gain the property without so much as leaving the comfort of my parlor.
Well, why are you leaving?
I feel that it is not in my best interest to stay in Haven with the current climate of things. I feel that both the Lord Mayor and those who have done well managing their own households here stand much to lose while there is little to gain. And I would take my fortune upon the road at this stage.
So why would we want your house?
It's a very fine property. I will not be completely emptying any of the stores. When he says stores, he means like the store rooms and things of that nature. You would have sturdy walls, a roof, a place to rest. That would cost you coin in other areas where you just stay at an inn. This property itself is worth far more than the purse of coins that I've granted you. Why shouldn't you want it?
I'm looking to get out of Haven as well.
Well, then find someone tomorrow. You would probably find many prospective buyers who'd be interested.
So could you.
I could, but I extend the offer to you first. You know what I am asking of you. If you do this, it is yours. If not, then I suppose this concludes our business. But I urge you to consider the offer carefully.
Well, what do you guys think?
I don't really care about a place to live.
I guess I don't need a house, but if we don't take the house, what's the alternative?
You leave. with your
With-
purse of coins.
Oh, we're doing a favor for a house. I mean,
Yep.
unless we sell the house for more coins, it could be like a
Right.
trading game.
But that would
We could all-
involve you staying here for the rest of the day and guarding it if it's attacked.
Also said he'd keep his stores, which maybe we'll find something there, but I'm not too sure.
Right, like he's gonna leave some of the food and drink. He's obviously not gonna try and carry more than he and his household can manage.
Hmm.
And he's
I mean,
asking us.
like I said,
to-
this is like a wealthy property, like one of the finer properties available in the town.
Maybe Mert would like to play his harmonica here or something.
Yeah, I
What
wonder
would-
if Mert.
what would
I wonder
Mert
if
do?
Mert's joined us again.
I just think it's kind of hypocritical if they're part of the Commune of Hope, but they're going to give us wealth.
This
Who's
this
part
guy
of
is
the
part of
commune?
the commune.
Well, if that's what the Commune's goal is.
This guy has made no claim to be part of the commune. He actually indicates that he doesn't really. He actually thinks he's going to be a target of them.
I mean, actually, if we support the commune, if this is in our control, then we can put our money where our mouth is, and we can make this crack house or something.
Yeah.
Crack house.
Right. But if they end up breaking through the gates, and you guys are in here, that would put you in a difficult position if you want to stay true to your word.
I'm on the side of the villagers.
I mean, John Smith could maybe just tell them just leave for now and come back later after the Lord's left. So
We get the house if we protect it. That's what the deal is.
As he said, if you just stay here for the rest of the day, he thinks by nightfall he's going to be ready for his household to just up and leave. You guys will be given the deed to the house. He will transfer ownership to you. And so that could mean absolutely nothing at all on your part. But if the house is attacked, he asks that you would join in his guards that he have in just making sure that they don't come and ransack the place or do
Are the
anything.
guards like some good old village boys that I've drank with? Or are they some foreigners?
No, they do live in Haven. But they don't speak ill of Basil. They clearly are given proper wages by him and such. So you wouldn't suspect that they'd just.
But do I
flip.
know them?
You know two of them by name, and you've encountered 3 of the others.
Okay.
But you don't know their names.
All right. Well, whatever you guys think, I suppose.
Want the house, take the house, but I up for the house.
Basil leans forward and says, "This is disappointing. I had hoped that you would leap at this offer, but I understand these are uncertain times. Nonetheless, I thank you for obtaining the object for me, and I wish you well. You will be escorted back out into the streets."
Well, speaking of uncertainty, Mr. Furwick, I found this here scroll in that cave, and I think you might be able to help me with it.
I could take a look at it for you. I can't say no to such rare findings. You hand him the scroll?
Show him the scroll.
Okay. He looks it over. He gets a little lens and puts it in front of one of his eyes. About 6 minutes later, he says, "Oh, very interesting. Yes, I believe this is a transmutation scroll.
All
If
right.
you activate this and touch any other metal object, and I believe it should be about a third or less of your own body weight, John. So hopefully you're roughly familiar with how many stone you weigh.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You, from my understanding of this scroll, it should transmute the object into pure silver.
Well, ain't that something?
Yes. I would find something, well, I'm sure you're an imaginative type. The possibilities are endless, John, and he hands you back the scroll.
All right.
Now,
Well,
Gunther will show you gentlemen out.
all right.
Okay. The steward returns, asks that you follow him back to the courtyard.
Mm-hmm.
He has a couple of the guards come with him again as you make it over to the gate. The steward makes a little glance out into the nearby street, and he seems to think it looks okay. So he gives the order for the guards to open the gate.
Do I know any of the guards here?
Roll a d6.
Okay.
Yeah, you know one of them.
What is his name?
His name is Billy Zartan.
Wow. All right. So when the gate has been opened, I'll suddenly notice him.
Okay.
Billy.
Hello
Long
there,
time
John.
no see.
Yeah. Did your business go well with the Lord? And as this conversation begins, about 24 of the commune begin rushing the gate from like a nearby like alleyway.
Now is Billy holding the gate or someone else?
Actually, like the two of them kind of in conjunction opened it. It involves like kind of applying like, you know, a pushing from like two different areas. So it would be difficult to close the gate without both of them giving their full attention to it.
Okay.
So he says, "Oh, there, John. I'm gonna please get out of the way. There's trouble coming."
Well, what do you mean by that? You talking about the things in the sky? That ain't nothing to worry about.
Okay. Speaking of which, is the rest of the party kind of aware of the scene that's playing out right now?
No.
Okay. So, all right.
Perfect.
You guys are right at the gate of like Lord Mr. Furwick's courtyard that leads back out into the streets into the town proper. And John had agreed earlier to help the boys of the commune out by preventing the gate from being closed quickly when you guys left, allowing them to like rush and, you know, achieve whatever objectives they hope to achieve within the estate. So he's trying to distract one of the guards right now, and I wanted to know what your characters would all do in this situation. If they would just kind of step out of the way, try to further assist in like keep preventing the gate from being closed, or I do need to know your intentions at least going forward here.
So mob is trying to break in.
Yep, and they've got a golden opportunity to do so, and John's trying to help them.
With us being let out.
Right, because the gate had to be open for you guys to leave.
How big is mob?
There's about 24. Clearly, this isn't the entire commune, but this is definitely like one of the groups that we're hoping to get something achieved today.
I guess I don't feel strongly as far as like stopping them or not stopping them.
Okay, So you're just gonna step aside?
But it also is tempting to fly away.
Tempting to betray.
Right. You've got some options as a druid there.
What are you guys thinking? Do you want to help your guard buddy, John?
Well, I instigated this whole thing. What are you talking about?
Help your guard buddy.
Wait, so you have a mob buddy?
Oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, both the guard and the mob are my buddies.
Yep. I'm sure John doesn't want to see anyone get killed here.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
Why did you bring them together like this?
Well, they were already together when we arrived. They wanted a way in, and I provided for them.
Yep, so he's accruing favor with the commune by helping here.
I thought you liked the commune as well.
I do.
All right. Well.
Okay. Yeah. So we let him in.
Okay. And then didn't seem like Mac was gonna do anything one way or the other here.
I'm just gonna step aside.
Okay. Do you guys step aside on the interior of the gate, or do you let yourselves out and move out of the way?
Step outside.
Okay. How about Ragnar? John has to stay inside the gate to continue engaging with this guard in a way that'll keep him from closing it.
Yeah.
I'll I guess step outside if I can.
All right. And I think Mert's still gone.
Oh my God, man.
Yeah.
This house is flooding.
Drag Mert with us. He harmonica sadly, and we drag him along.
Yeah. All right. Well, John, whether or not it was, basically you just talking to him and no one else really intervening to help close the gate is enough that even as he says, you got to hold on a moment, John, as he's trying to close the gate, there's the first few hands pushing back against it, and the commune starts spilling into the courtyard.
All right.
Now, this will give you the opportunity to just simply leave if you want, or if you want to take part or supervise the events that are about to unfold. That's up to you.
I want to kind of supervise. So I want to see if anyone's drawing weapons. I want to try and talk them down.
Treat people like people or something.
That's right.
Yeah. All right.
Right.
Give me 30 seconds. I'll be right back.
That's all we gave Mert.
All right. Well, of the 24 commune members who rushed through, I'll determine how many of them had simple melee weapons. Okay, just one.
Boy.
What was his name? Zadak Ogren. Yeah. So he's got the soul short sword. But he does have strength of numbers with his group. Now, both of the guards at the gate have kind of your standard package leather armor with a chain shirt.
Yeah.
And their own standard crossbow and sword. So they're definitely panicking here. It looks like right now, John, just kind of the energy of this moment looks like that they're just going to try and overpower the guards, and you have no idea what would happen just from observing this. So if you want to try and call to peace or to arms here, you could potentially influence what happens at the gate here.
I mean, I don't want peace.
No.
It's not an option.
All right.
But yeah, to try and like disarm some of them, like the guards at least, it's tricky with just words.
Yeah. Did you want to try and do like some sort of like close quarters combat disarm on one of them? Or
Whoa. You think
No.
that's John Smith's way?
I'm just asking. All right. Well,
I'm right next to Billy, so I'll just be like, Billy, just lay the weapon down.
He says, like, they might kill me, though.
No, they won't. If they see you drop that weapon, you'll be fine. They just want the food.
Okay. I'm going to ask for a parlay here, John. I think
right.
You've made a request that, given the situation, could go in either direction, but you do know him, so... Yep.
All right, so this is charisma.
Yep.
So I have to assign a mod. Probably just going to be +2. I mean, John Smith is a charismatic guy.
Right, and you have 1 + 2 to give, I'm
That's
assuming.
right.
Okay. So you've set your charisma.
Yeah, okay.
He takes off the brimmed hat at this moment.
That's right.
Billy.
You see how attractive he is.
Okay, just beautiful. Oh my god.
All right, now,
All right.
Billy. Listen to what I have to say.
He says, all right, John, as you say. And he sets down his sword, and that leads his other comrade at the gate to do the same. And you see, as Zadak was running in, you know, he had that sword in hand raised above his head. But as he sees this display, you see him take like his left arm and kind of like put it to his side, kind of like slowing down the rest of his men, saying like, all right, looks like Mr. Thorwick's guards are going to be reasonable here. He says, our quarrel's not with them. And he just continues on to the front gate, or the front door of the house.
Yep.
Okay. Billy just nods his head and says, oh, thanks for talking me down there, John. I couldn't have guessed it would have happened like that.
Doesn't need to be any bloodshed here today.
He says, all right, well, what's your role in all this? Are you with the commune now?
Well, I'm not like a formalized member or anything, but I support what they think.
He says, well, you take care of yourself, John. And he and the other guard at the gate just kind of split and leave.
All right. Are the weapons still there, or did the mob grab them?
So, they took Billy's sword because he physically set it down.
Yeah.
The other guard didn't even draw his weapon. He just kind of like put his, and so they just let him be. So he leaves with his weapon. So yep.
All right. So then it's just the three of us.
Or 4 if
if
Mert's back.
The Mert turd.
So now we're left outside.
You are in the open gateway here. It's open enough for you guys to leave, no problem.
I guess for free.
I suppose so.
Yep, you've got your purse of coins, and you imagine that when Zadok gets around to it, that he'll send word to the other members of the commune that John Smith is a friend of the cause.
Let it be known.
Okay. So, John, you have a house in town.
I do.
It's it's nothing too fancy,
That's
but
right.
it's served you just fine for several years, many years, I should say. Um, you have not yet invited your party members into your home to like sleep under your roof yet or anything, but you feel if a situation did call for it, there'd be enough room on the floor of like your common room for them to lay down their heads should they wish.
Okay.
But yeah, as for the rest of you, it's about 4:30 in the afternoon. Um, as I mentioned, there's 2 inns in the town, and those would be your other options as far as if there's just some place you went to kick it. But yeah, it's really open ended as far as where you guys go from here.
So, what do we know about this commune?
Well, you've got the little blurb that I put in the chat. You also know that right now they're attempting to storm Lord Furwick's estate, and not quite sure how that'll go, but you have at least one contact within the commune now, Zadok Ogren, because even if things were to go against them after breaching through the gate here, you don't imagine Zadok himself would be imprisoned or killed, so you could probably find him again. It's no secret that at any given time in any of the common rooms of either inn, you can always find like a few of their quote unquote representatives there. So you can find them in a number of spots, but there is no, at least at this time, you don't know of any leader per se of the entire movement.
And we had just gotten back from that cavern trip, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, it's been a trying time, so I think I'm gonna head back to the old homestead.
Now that scroll you had, I remember you saying something about you need to bring it to who?
You're not too quick on the uptake, are you?
It's been a while since I've communicated with people.
Well, Mr. Furwick, right before his home was raided, translated this scroll for me. Seems that it can turn a hunk of metal into silver. Pure silver.
Good, I guess.
Yeah, that might come in handy at some point.
I'm not even sure. Are we invited to see your home?
Y'all are welcome to spend the night if you don't mind a nice comfy floor to sleep on.
I would relish it.
Okay.
All right.
Well, you guys get to be guests at John's home. John, roll a d4.
That's how many floors my home has?
No, something like that, but not quite. That's how many rooms it has.
Oh, damn!
Yep, you've got so you can come up with the names for the different rooms and what their purposes are. I wouldn't accept like treasure vault or
right.
Magic lab or stuff like that, but you know.
Well, there's the common room.
Yep.
There's the shitting room. There's the sleeping room. And there's the eating room.
Perfect. We've documented them. Well, how long do you guys want to rest at John's house? I mean, John lives here. He can stay here as long as he likes, but I know that Mac's taken a little bit of damage.
Mere flesh wound.
Yep. John,
yeah, you guys all have like
enough...
16 HP or some shit.
Yeah, John, you'll have enough food to feed your guests should they be inclined to have a meal. However, with the current climate, it might be a little bit difficult in the coming days to continually get supplies as normal. So just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, we'll be looking to move on at some point, I'm sure.
All right, I am rolling a couple of things for events that are going on behind the scenes here. So give me just a moment. All right. John, can you describe for me the meal that you would be able to prepare for yourself and your guests that night at your home?
Oh, real simple fare. Some nice loaf of bread, some hard cheese, maybe a couple sausages.
Okay. Um,
Milk all around.
yeah. You guys enjoy a respite and a meal at John's house that night. As you finished, you receive a knock on your door, John. It's a firm but not impolite knock, just a very even knock.
All right, just a minute. All right, I will eventually make my way to the door.
Yep. No hurry, of course.
Not
Yep.
especially. Not in the
No.
village.
Okay. You see Zadok Ogren at the door.
Zadok. Look
Hi,
well.
Johnny. Thanks for your help earlier today. We were able to get a good share of food and drink and comfortable sheets and pillows and all manner of necessities from Furwick's place.
Sounds good.
He says, now, you were quite helpful, and I was wondering,
I didn't do much.
if you've, well, that may be so, but I know that you're a very plain-spoken guy, John, and that you mean what you say, and we were just, me and some of the others at the commune were wondering if you'd be interested in helping us one step further. I think, we believe that this is what it's going to take to get things right and proper moving forward with all the strange tidings going about.
Well, speak what you mean. I'll listen.
Well, this request wouldn't be from me. This would be from one of our main organizers. He's over at the Lion's Paw right now, and should you deign, just come by anytime tonight before a couple of hours past midnight or so. I think we'll be winding down, but I think since you've become the adventuring type now, there's something that I think your little group could be well suited for.
Well, do I know this organizer?
Oh, gee, I don't know if I should give out that information if you're undecided yet, John. I want to be careful now. We do have our enemies.
Well, certainly you don't think John Smith is an enemy.
No, but I'm saying that sort of information, we try to keep it on a need-to-know basis.
All right, Zadok. Well, can't vouch for the others, but you can probably expect to see me there.
Great. Tell you what, there'll be at least one free mug on the house for you and for your friends, should you choose to come by. And he nods to you graciously, and he steps back out into the streets.
All right. Close the door.
All right.
Y'all overhear that?
Yep.
Now, I know you're not exactly natives of Haven, so I don't know how much you you care too much about our problems, but I, for one, am going to be heading to that meeting later.
Well, I will go as well. I have been drawn to Haven, so I'm inclined to think that this is important.
Okay.
Hopefully, we'll see your friend Turd.
Yeah, I mean, I like hesitate to like even proceed too much further beyond this point where it's like, be quite rough kind of getting him caught up with like everything. I'm gonna see if I can if he's like gonna be back in like a few minutes or how. Yeah, what exactly is?
I did Mert a little this morning earlier, and he did say that he was gonna try and be done by like 8:30.
Oh, that's not promising.
No, I think you meant like done with his.
With help with Walter and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Not done with our session.
He's
Tom.
done with
Oh, okay.
Walter.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
It's just what he needs to do.
Well, if you did want to take a short break, I could get some food.
Yeah, well, that sounds a little ominous, but yeah,
The yogurt on the chair.
Hour.
Yeah.
No, I can stay in contact. I can just like call on my phone, but
I should feed my cats.
Okay, well let's take a quick
Alright.
break right now and see what the situation is.
what's the regroup strategy? Or just stay in the chat?
I'd say try and just keep things as they are. Yeah.
Okay.
Watch comes back in the world now.
What's that?
Mert's just gonna come back and we're just gonna be gone.
Yeah, well, that gives me time to explain to him everything that's transpired in his absence.
Right.
Yeah.
So, if Ziggy, if you're still there, hear about the PS5?
Is there anybody there?
Hello.
John Smith is
Okay,
here.
Yep. I know Thomas is at a distance, but that's okay. He can remain at a distance for now. I think I'll be fine with you guys just proceeding in like a minute or so and heading on over to the Lion's Paw. Yep, we'll just keep it moving, and whenever Mert can rejoin us, he rejoins us. That's all right. John, you know your way to the Lion's Paw by heart.
Mm-hmm.
Although I will mention that as you step out your door that night, apart from just the the general unrest that's kind of been hitting the town, you do notice once again there's that hooded observer, not necessarily like parked right outside your house, but he is in the vicinity of your neighborhood as you leave. Yep.
Well, we try to keep to our own business here in the village.
All right. Takes about a 2-minute stroll for you to reach the inn from your home. And there's quite a bustle going on inside of the tavern. I would say there's about maybe 50 people between all the crammed tables in here right now. And you can spot Zadok, who was clearly kind of watching the door, hoping perhaps for your arrival. And he sees you in tow with all of your friends, and he eagerly waves you over to his table.
All right.
Did
I get a goodwill when I helped the village while helping myself?
Yes.
All right.
You met that requirement.
Sounds good.
Yep. There's 4 mugs of ale on the table for you all. Zadok is with a handful of other people. He's got one of the larger tables picked out for the room, or out of the common room here. And John, you recognize them all well enough. 2 in particular by name. There's good old Colin Ford. Just a nice average man. You're not too surprised he's been drawn to this Commune of Hope movement. And
oh my god.
All right, we got Mert back. And at the other, and one of the other people at the table is a guy known as Legnar Rose. And you're a little surprised to see him because he, in fact, is one of the other few you consider wealthier inhabitants of the town. But he doesn't seem like anyone's holding a knife to him or anything. He's just kind of sitting at the table, relaxed. Welcome back, Mert. Okay, let me just give you a 2-minute recap. What was the last thing you remembered, Mert, from this session?
I was mostly gone after the bonds. I had to go.
Okay.
So everything.
Everything.
Yeah. All right. So just scroll down with me, Mert, as I talk through this. So there's the summary of the 3 factions. You remember that, I think. I think that was before. Yep. Then there was the details of the adventure you guys had completed before the first session. Pretty much you found a famous helmet under contract by one of the wealthier inhabitants of Haven.
Okay.
It corresponded to being a valuable piece of loot, which he did pay you all for that. He gave you the first suggested equivalent for such a piece, which was 1 weight purse of coins. And I think it was just divided evenly amongst the 4 of you, so you each have a quarter weight, 1/4 weight of coins.
Okay.
He then extended an offer to the party. Since there was a bit of a crowd outside of his house, he was nervous that they might try and make like a little attack or try and storm his property from the Commune of Hope. Made an offer that if you guys just stayed at his house for the rest of the day and defended it if it were attacked, he'd sign over the deed of the property to your group. This was rejected by the group, and you guys just took your leave of him. Before doing so, he provided a description. John Smith asked him what a magical scroll that he had in his possession would do, and he told him. And part of the reason, or as you guys left, John Smith actually helped distract the guards at the gate in closing it properly as your party was leaving to let in the group that had been at the gates earlier to succeed in attacking the estate. And he had a little conversation with one of them prior to this, and that's one of the people you're at right now, meeting with some Commune of Hope members at one of the taverns later that night.
Okay.
All right.
No news of and was that the mayor? Was that his place that we were actually at?
That was Basil Furwick's home, just one of the wealthier inhabitants of the town, not the mayor himself.
And was his place stormed of some sort?
Yes, it was. Okay. You didn't hear the outcome of that, but if you were curious, one of the people who were present for that is sitting at the table. Legnar Rose introduces himself. John, of course, we are already acquainted. You are a good citizen of the town, of course.
Legnar, Colin.
Yes. And, well, there is no one leader of the commune, of course, that would go against its very nature. But I think it's fair to say that I did quite a bit in helping get things rolling. I've entrusted all of my personal wealth to the commune, and it has been distributed as such. And I was saddened that many of my other high society compatriots did not join in this movement, but clearly this sort of action is needed in times like these.
Well, it's human nature.
Yeah.
I'm sure if most of the people in the commune had that kind of wealth, they would be hesitant to give it up as well.
Yes, I believe that is true. But our numbers are growing. And as I understand, you helped Zadok out a bit earlier today, at least he says as much.
I did a little.
Yes. Good to know that you're at least interested in seeing a little change of government here in Haven.
Well, people are panicking, but, we got to keep everyone alive.
You were able to help facilitate less violence than was necessary. Or, no more violence than was necessary with how you handled those gentlemen at the gate. And I'm hoping we can just continue along this path and see it to the end. Ultimately, in as quick a time as possible, we would like to see Mr. Radcliffe stripped of his authority and for the commune to take complete control of Haven's affairs. That way, I feel we can look at the future with a brave face, regardless of what other strange signs or portents might be seen. So, yeah, that's why I brought you and your friends here. I understand you have many talents since you were able to find that, what was it, a helmet for Mr. Furwick.
That's right.
Now, I can't offer you much in material rewards, but hopefully you're coming to understand that that's the distraction here, and that if we're all to make it through this, we're going to need to think in terms of the greater good and good for the group, so to speak.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
All right. Now, oh, shoot, I just... Be right back, I spilled something. Now, the situation, John, the way I see it, after what happened to Basil Furwick's estate, he was not too willing to give a proper share of all of his possessions, and so, I received the full report from Zeta.
Ziggy, I think you cut out.
Yeah, I muted myself.
Oh.
That was weird. Anyway, I'll just start over.
Okay.
The way I see the situation, while what took place at Basil Furwick's residence today certainly helps us in the short term, and is a small victory of its own, it's certainly going to harden the hearts of anyone who is not inclined with our ideology to begin with. I think many of the remaining wealthy residents will only guard their possessions further and take more extreme measures if they see even a peaceful request of sharing their goods. So I think we're going to be entering a decisive moment in the next couple of days or so. Now, within our group, we have many ideas about how to proceed, but since you were able to find at least a middle ground with the beginning of our operation on Mr. Furwick's estate, I was hoping that you would lend your talents, you and your associates here, and we would welcome you to join our strategies as well. We have our own ideas on how to proceed. For one, there's at least 30 of our compatriots who have been imprisoned in the Lord Mayor's, well, I guess we can call it a complex now. He's taken over the government offices and expanded it to the nearby structures. But we were hoping to find a way to free them, or if you had any alternative ideas. It's difficult to know exactly what would be best here. We don't want to isolate our cause further with our next step. There's been friendly overtures from some of those fellows with the golden hand. They don't seem to oppose what we're doing, but we haven't really followed up on that. We want to make sure they're not in cahoots with Mayor Radcliffe.
So, why exactly has the food supply sort of dwindled in Haven?
So, and this you're asking this
out of game.
Meta,
I'm sure I would know unless I don't.
Right. So, basically we've got mosquito trick. Nice. That's the perception. There hasn't been any like reasons outlined saying like here's why food's getting scarce, but it's kind of like in.
I mean,
you
surely
could
we're in close
imagine.
contact with our farmers.
Right.
Have they
Well,
reported any like issues?
Well, the thing is with you know,
The
if
chaos
you
of
hear,
the world.
yeah, people are hearing stories about, you know, like other towns just like falling completely, and the fact that, you know, Radcliffe is probably being over proactive in wanting to like create like this dole out system that he controls, and the nobles are buying up as much food as they can because they have the means to like basically buy out these large stores. That there could essentially be an artificial crisis that's been created out of fear.
Well, then I say we go straight to the farmers. Make deals with them.
I suppose at the marketplace tomorrow, that could be where we try to get things straightened out. I know that a good many of the Lord Mayor's men will be there as well.
Yeah, well, the mayor isn't growing any food. We know that.
It's a fair point. Yes, I suppose that is less dramatic than trying to break free all of those who have been imprisoned for. Well, it is regrettable, but I won't deny that some of our more zealous members have perhaps gone a little too far in defense of the cause, but we've been just trying to find a way to make everyone see the truth in what we profess.
I mean, look, I may not know much, but if you want to shift power in this town, you got to control the food. Go to the source.
All right, John. Well, would you suggest that I marshal all who would say they are loyal to the commune to be present in the marketplace on the morrow?
Well, I don't think you want to make a scene. That's just gonna invite trouble.
So we should dispatch individual messengers to each farmstead?
That might be the better way. Surely they can see reason.
Perhaps you would consider being our ambassadors, at least for some of the more, the larger outfits.
I could lend a voice, I suppose, but truth be told, I'm looking to get out of here as well.
He says, oh, I've been pleased by everything you've said thus far, but that is distressing if you think there is no hope to be found here.
I didn't say that. It's a wide world out there, and if it's gonna end soon, I'd like to see a bit more of it.
I suppose that's sensible. Well, you are your own man, John. That has always been true about you. But yes, whatever help you could lend us, I think. Well, I should say I would hope that you would see to it that the situation, at least in your hometown, is settled before you leave.
Yeah, as I said, I'll lend a voice.
He takes a scrap of paper and writes down 2 farmsteads for you to visit, if you'd be so inclined, and to make your case to them for dealing with the commune instead of just being bought out. And these are the names of the 2 farmsteads.
And Ziggy, while you're definitely once you had said that stuff about John Smith, about your Mert is definitely heard like working on the first like note of the song.
Okay.
That will John Smith's legend.
All right.
He says,
have I
if
ever
you
had
can
any
get...
dealings with these people?
Oh yeah, you've probably bought food from either one of them a number of times throughout your
Okay.
life.
All right. Think I can do that.
Good. He says, as I mentioned, what we were able to obtain from Furwick stores, that's going to help our little community here for a number of days, but it's only a short-term thing. I think you've tapped into the right idea here in getting the sustained loyalty of the farmers. I think if the mayor feels pressured enough to seize control of the farms with his own guards, people will realize that that'll be taking it too far, and they'll trust in alternative options.
Well, hopefully we can work it all out without bloodshed.
Okay. All right. Well, you don't imagine the farmers would take too kindly, regardless of your message, if you just came lurking out there in the dead of
Yeah,
night.
that's true.
Yep. He bids you to hang out with your fellow commune brothers and sisters as long as you wish, but that eventually he'll be retiring as well, and he asks that you report back to him. He'll be here whenever you have concluded your business at the other farmsteads.
Okay.
I feel like so my guy's kind of he's supposed to be like, but like he knows a lot about what's going just in like all types of groups. I'm
Yes.
wondering if he would know anything about the farmers and like stuff that goes on between all of them, you know.
I mean, I
My guy's
understand.
very charismatic, so he
Right.
tends to.
I just don't see why the bard would particularly be out with those types.
Right. The ones we've been talking with.
Oh yeah, no, that I could see more.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, is there a question that you want to ask about the situation, fellow bard?
Yeah, debating on it.
Because you could attempt. I mean, not to spell out move options here,
Mm-hmm.
but you could try to discern reality, or if there's a special bard move you could invoke if you want to try and just glean a little bit more information right now. That is something you can always consider.
Who's really in control here?
Yeah, that
would be pretty good.
Valid, yeah.
I mean, I suppose closely studying a situation, or nah. I mean, spout lore would be something a little bit more. Like I said, more that have names that people would know, like the mayor, like the leader of and the golden hand, those types. So these guys are lower end stuff, so I won't do it.
Okay.
Wow, lower end stuff.
Well,
say that to their
you
face.
Decided to throw your lot in with. Yeah. All right. How many rounds would you all like to stay for at the Lion's Paw that night? Your first couple were covered for hearing out the plans of Legnar, but the rest will be on your dime.
There's two.
Okay. And I take it you're heading home then, John?
Yep.
Okay. How about the rest of the party?
So I'll stay with John.
Okay, you will be John's house guest this evening.
I will search for one of the many ladies I have been seeing.
Okay. Roll a d6.
Just one single one.
Well, yeah. Let's see what the roll is. Okay.
One.
They are all absent that night. You would
Oh
have to find a new lady.
Oh boy, I'm already. 6 of them have already. I'm already juggling. To add more.
Yeah, I mean that wasn't to imply that you had 6 active
right.
relationships.
No, I know.
It was
I
just
know.
kind of yeah.
I was aiming more for 2 or 3. So.
Yeah.
All right. I
Maybe
will.
maybe Ragnar could turn into a sheep or something.
Nope. Not my thing. I'm not Tom Green. Nope.
All
Okay.
right.
I'll stay at the. I'll try to stay at the inn.
Okay. Well, you are not the innkeeper. When he learns of your intention to stay at the inn, he says, in lieu of usual payment, if you are able to provide entertainment for the common room for a couple of hours, he'll spare you a bed.
Okay. My harmonica is
Okay.
usually quite pleasing to most.
Yeah.
Not all.
Roll 2d6.
Okay. Did add.
Yeah, you can add your dexterity or charisma to this. All right. You're on point that night. It's not the best performance you've ever done, but you certainly haven't been too dulled by your recent adventure, and you get into a good rhythm of things.
All right.
And you've earned your night's keep at the inn. And then we just need Ragnar's intentions.
He's the silent.
Yeah, you could probably sleep in any number of situations with your shapeshift.
Probably spend some time just roaming the city as a bird,
Okay.
overlooking maybe a bat. Is there a plains bat?
I would think so. In other words, I'm willing to grant Plains Bat.
Okay.
I
guess just to kind of like look and see if there's any goings on or.
Okay, you want it? You're doing like active reconnaissance while you're flying around. Then, with that, I will allow you to basically do an assessment of the city itself, of the town itself, while you're flying around. So, I'm willing to grant a discern realities move while you're doing that. So that is that's modified by your wisdom. Okay.
2d6, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you gotta roll another one. So you didn't roll badly then.
There you
go. 11.
Okay. All right, Mert. Or sorry, Thomas. You get to ask 3 questions from the list about the town of Haven.
You know what you need to ask.
We find said list.
It is in the basic moves reference sheet. I'd encourage you all to at least print that or have like a page open to that. That is something you'll want on hand.
The discern realities one.
What should I be on the lookout for?
Okay. I'd like all 3 of your questions before I answer any one question.
I might retract that one. Okay.
Okay.
What is about to happen?
Okay.
Who's really in control here?
Okay.
And what here is not what it appears to be.
Okay.
Also, just so you guys know, that is one of the handouts. It is basic.
Yeah.
And discern realities is in there.
I'm just putting this here to remind myself of the 3 questions you asked. Okay. What is about to happen? Well, you do notice in your flying around that there's been considerable movement in the forest nearby the village. This is not the same way that you took back from the caves. This is kind of like in like the opposite cardinal directions there. You just see, even from this altitude, that there's been considerable movement recently between the forest and the village. So, as far as was about to happen, that you can't answer from this, but you get the feeling that this forest has something to do with either something that's happened or some impending situation facing the town. Next question. Who is really in control here? Well, that goes back to the fact that these three factions are fighting out for control of the town. In one sense, you know that, you see that Lord Furwick's estate from this altitude has been pillaged. You actually don't know the fate of the Lord and his household himself. They are, their fate is up in the air. Zadok Ogren did not actually bring that up in conversation with you at the table. But you see that, some of the windows are like smashed, and there's clearly been a thorough pillaging of that. So it actually isn't possible for you to know who is poised to take control of the town. Although it gnaws at you a little bit that you are essentially blind to the movements of either the Lord Mayor or the Order of the Golden Hand right now. Although you do feel like you do have a full understanding of what the commune intends to do. What here is not what it appears to be. Let's see. You notice that one of the farmsteads has also similarly been, it looks like it's been given the full looting treatment, like you were able to see of Lord Furwick's estate, which doesn't match with any of the reports of information that you've received thus far. So clearly there's something going on with one of the farmsteads as well. I will note that this one is also adjacent to the forest where you saw the movement. So that is what I can tell you with your discern reality.
So I saw movement, but did I see what was moving?
So you saw recent evidence of movement, tracks, and the trees themselves at the edge of the forest, more than just how they'd be moving from wind. So something moving beneath the eaves of the trees. That kind of movement. And obviously something larger than just the typical creatures within the forest.
I'd like to investigate that closer.
Okay, you just going on your own?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I'll just fly down there. If I was kind of just doing a broad view, so if I go actually look at see if I can get close enough to see
Yeah. So do you want to perch on a branch, or are you going to remain in flight?
I'm willing to perch.
Willing to perch, okay. Okay.
Unless there's someone imminently nearby.
No, not in between, just landing. You don't see anything. But once you get onto the perch of the tree, you are able to get a favorable line of sight, more towards the forest floor from this perspective, as opposed to when you were flying up high. It would seem that a tribe of goblins are basically, they've set up an encampment here, right at the edge of the forest. And you see they are currently eating some of the livestock, likely from one of the farms, as well as one of the farmers. And they have about 5 hostages tied up who likely will be either new subjects for eating or other unspeakable defilement in the upcoming hours of this night.
Okay, so they're in their own encampment. There's none like on the farm that I see.
It looks like they've concluded their business at the farm for now.
So do I know where the other people went at night? Or where
I think it would be unnecessarily frustrating of me to say no. So, yeah, you can presume that, Mert was still playing his harmonica when you left, and you saw Mac going home with John as they bid you a good night as they were leaving. So, you've been to John Smith's house, so you know where they are as well.
I'm not walking on anything, but I should probably gather them.
So you're gonna fly over to John's house.
Yeah.
Okay. You're at John's house.
I'll become. Is there an open window?
That only John can answer that question.
Sure. It's a nice, cool night.
I'll fly in the window.
Right. I mean, I'm sure I'm sleeping, so.
Then I guess
He goes and bites your neck.
Probably would kill me.
Oh no, John.
I'll just turn back into a human once I'm inside. Then I'll try to rouse someone if they're not awake. Are they dead asleep?
Well, John spoke for himself. I can't speak if Mac would be asleep yet. I mean, Mac, you've had a tiring day, so unless you had reason to stay awake.
And I've been injured, so I'll just say I'm asleep.
Okay. They are perfectly suitable victims for you right now.
Right, I'll say companions loudly. And if needed, I'll go in for the shake.
What in tarnation?
It's your friend Ragnar. I bring news.
Well, it better be good.
What's going on?
I think it's might be urgent. Well, I think it is urgent. I saw goblins eating farmers on the outskirts of town.
Okay. Has Haven had a history of problem with goblins?
Recently, no. I would allow, if you really want to dig to the depths of your local knowledge and history, I could allow you to spout lore about the topic.
I've lived in Haven for 40 years, so...
Give me that spout lore.
Alright. Is that int?
Yep.
Alright, we'll do a +1 for int, I think.
Yeah.
John seems reasonably smart.
Descending order of attributes that you use.
It might be, yeah.
Yeah, then that's actually kind of fitting that it's what you'd be inclined to use. So, yeah. Oh, John!
John remembers.
Okay. When is every goblin attacked from the last 40 years?
Yeah. All right, John. So, I imagine you like to spend many fine evenings just kind of wandering the borders of your village, never leaving the borders, but always coming back home.
Yeah.
Sam, it's the farthest from home he's ever been.
Right.
Type thing.
That's
yeah.
right.
So, for a fact, there has been no permanent tribe of goblins that have threatened Haven in your lifetime.
Okay.
So for you, this would be quite a shock to hear this. That perhaps this is one of Haven's own apocalyptic signs that they have to deal with, as seems to be the case throughout the world itself. However, this tells you that they have very recently arrived, and so, it might be their intention just to come by here and raid, but what Ragnar is able to tell you suggests that these are, goblins of opportunity here, that they see ripe targets and strike. So hopefully just a show of force would be able to drive them from the area. But again, this is something new for you. And so as far as your bonus for the plus 10, you, despite never having goblins being a part of Haven's problem, you can speak a little goblin yourself, John.
Ah.
So if you're attempting to converse with a goblin, it'll be a certain difficulty, or just attempting to listen to goblins will be an automatic. So you can understand them well enough, since it's basically just a mutated form of common. But if you want to communicate with them, that's gonna try on your skills a little bit there, John. So there you go.
Goblins. How many did you see?
Give me what is your intelligence modifier? Or give me your intelligence and wisdom modifiers, Ragnar.
0 intelligence, 2 wisdom.
Okay, the 2 wisdom's good enough. You scanned the camp like a couple of times with your little bad eyes while you were perched up there, and it looked like a band of 40 goblins.
40 goblins.
Yep.
All right, what's the size of the militia in Haven?
All right, John. You know that if Mayor Radcliffe called every member of the guard to action,
yeah,
there would be 36 guardsmen. Now, you know that the wealthier households, I mean, you even witnessed this earlier today, also have some of their own armed guards as well.
yeah.
Now, as far as the rest of the town, you saw that even with the group from the commune earlier, you only had about 1 out of 2 dozen that had like a proper weapon. So, but certainly the numbers are there if you were able to convince everyone to pile on. So
that would be tricky.
there is a lot of mistrust and tension between the town right now. So unfortunately, it is a fairly opportune moment for the goblins to try and pick off these farmsteads out there. So
all right,
We have some live hostages too. If we don't act quickly.
all right. What do you reckon we do?
Go before the leader of the Golden Hand, drop to your knees in front of him, and ask for him to deal with the goblin. Oh man.
I'll travel over to the farm's location then.
You're gonna leave at once?
I'm gonna leave at once.
Okay, you guys see Mac just stand up, put on his ranging boots, and make for your door, John.
That's the best idea. Outnumber you 40-1.
We would need some
People's lives are in danger.
Yeah, that's
your
true.
life is in danger.
Might as well hold them off for a minute if I can.
Yeah, I admire your bravery. Guess I might as well try and rouse the guard.
Yeah. Is there any
You
way
do that. I'll see what I can do.
Well, will you rouse the guard? I'll go with Mac.
All right.
You can perch on his shoulder.
I can shout instructions from the sky.
Okay. Mert said he's been able to listen. Hopefully, if he's still present, he can give some sort of indication if he'd like to do something. Whether that's taken along with John to make a case to the guards, or going with the intrepid Mac.
Does he think they can be reasoned with?
Who, Mac?
Mert.
I don't know what Mert thinks.
He says I can assist with speaking with the goblin. Alright, so
That's probably he was probably keying off of when we had the revelation that John Smith could speak a little goblin.
Quite the revelation.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so can I technically.
Well, okay. Well, by virtue of distances, John's gonna make it to the government complex first. This is essentially the mayor's house plus annexed nearby buildings. There's palisades that have been built within the streets to narrow like the channels of getting in and out of this fortified area. There's even like little like on the rooftops of some of the outlying buildings. They've essentially been converted to guard towers. So there's sentries up there with torches and crossbows.
Is there like a bell or something that would alert the town to danger?
Yeah. It's in the middle of the town, away from the government complex. So you could just walk right up to the bell if you wanted to, and just start banging on it if you wanted.
Well, I mean, it is a startling claim, I suppose, that my new friend Ragnar appeared in my home and made, and I have no proof, so it's hard to say.
Right. Do you want to be able to talk to the guards in a bit more of an intimate setting, or do you want to bang
maybe
the bell,
try and find some guards that I know, like Billy. Just get a small troop together.
All right. Well, if you're heading towards the government complex, you're going to get spotted at some point. So, a sentry calls out a challenge as you get close to one of the palisades, saying, it's past curfew. John, head on home.
Who's that?
By the torchlight, as you look up to him, and from the sound of his voice, you recognize the name as Ronald Gill.
Ronald. You know as well as I do, I'd prefer to be in my bed right now. But
Ain't that the truth?
I heard quite the startling tale from a friend of mine. Seems there's a pack of goblins outside the village attacking the farms.
Oh, my.
I know.
He says, you mean to tell me this very moment?
This very moment. My buddies ran off to go and help out, but I think they need some assistance.
Okay. He says, I'll be back in just a moment. I'm going to go get the captain.
All right.
Okay. He heads down off the rooftop. About 2 minutes later, you see Ronald come back with clearly the captain. He's actually in like a full scale suit of armor. And there's about 8 other guards with them, so they make a group of 10. And the captain kind of comes up to the forefront of the group. Now, you don't know the captain too well. He mainly is like, at the mayor's ear and handles a number of things, and just so happens you haven't had too many interactions with him.
Mm-hmm.
He says, so it's John Smith, right?
That's right.
He says, heard a very troubling report that you facilitated the break-in of Lord Furwick's estate. I'm afraid we will be taking you to the dungeons, lad.
Well, I don't know about that. What did I facilitate?
We have 2 witnesses that place you there. They said that you
I was there.
That you
I had
found
business
a way
with
to
Mr. Basil.
I suppose that that does correlate. You were said to be within the gates, but that you prevented the gates from being closed to the group of lawless rabble that stormed the mansion. Now that
Well-
is aiding and abetting.
Well, I mean, I was there. I remember Billy trying to close the gates. Sort of confusing at the time. Not sure about this aiding and abetting thing.
But from what I hear, now you're here with tall tales of goblins, and I'm supposed to risk some of my men to go out there when I'm sure there's yet another mob waiting for them to further descend the town into chaos, and I won't risk it.
Well, it is a tall tale. I'll give you that. But my friend, I haven't known him to lie. So, not sure his reason for coming to me and making up a story about goblins attacking the farms, but I, for one, do believe him.
He asks Ronald if he'd stake his livelihood as a guard on your trustworthiness, and Ronald, without hesitation, says he would. So, with that, since Ronald's here, I will grant you a parlay to get the captain to listen to your words, as opposed to what he's either also been ordered to do and also what he's inclined to do. So
Okay.
we'll see how it stacks up. John Smith.
John Smith.
Okay. He says, I suppose the prison is full enough right now. I think it would be a waste to put more well-intentioned citizens in there. For what it's worth, I do believe what you are saying. I still am hesitant to reduce our strength here with what's been going on in town, but I cannot ignore the possibility that what you are saying is true.
And
So
I thought about ringing the bell, but I think I agree with you. This should be a small affair just to see if it's true. And I'll go
All right.
with, because if my friends are in danger, I'll help them out.
Fair enough. Ronald and the others will come with you, John. Ronald will have command of this contingent, but yes, do join Mr. Smith in investigating this thoroughly. And with that, the captain withdraws back into the complex, and you've got Ronald and his band with you.
All right, let's go back them up.
Okay. All right. In the meanwhile, we had the rest of the party heading off towards the edge of the woods. You're not able to get back there quite as quickly as you were by flight, Ragnar, since you are accompanying Mac. Although Mac can make his way through the open countryside faster than your average person, to be sure. And also in your wake is the Bard. Now he's would it be fair to say that you will strain yourself to keep up with the intrepid pace of the Ranger here, Bard, because of the urgency of the situation?
I will.
Okay. What are your strength or con modifiers?
0 and 1.
Okay.
Strength is 1, con is 0.
Okay.
Mine are both 1.
No, I'm not concerned about you because you can just shapeshift. But I appreciate it. Anyway, Ragnar. Bard, you in order to keep up, you're gonna need to leave some things at the end. This is like we'll jump back at the beginning. So, what are between all of your possessions? Can you leave a few things behind, or would you not be willing to?
Well, like how much are we talking weight-wise more? Or...
Yeah, like are you able to like add up like a weight that you could leave behind?
Well, I have 6. 6 is my full. I'm at 5 out of 6.
Yeah.
So what
How much do you want me to?
Can you part with 1 weight of goods?
Yes, I will leave my supplies.
Okay. With
So go
that,
ahead,
it's still a bit of a strain, but you're able to keep up with the ranger.
Okay.
All right. Mac, you make it to the edge of the forest as described to you. Basically, you've got Ragnar to guide you along the way. You see off to your right, at about 300 yards away, would be the edge of the farmstead, the one that's been attacked. And according to Ragnar, if you make your way a little bit deeper into the woods, you're right at the edge of the tree line right now. You were to go ahead about 50 yards, you'd be right into the goblin encampment. So this is about as close as I can get you before it'll become important how exactly you proceed from here. Fortunately, you have not been spotted yet. The goblins posted no sentries at the edge of the wood here. So
What do I see?
So right now, you don't have a full vision of the encampment. However, in between like the strands of trees, you can see like the flicker of the lights of the goblin encampment. They've like started at least like 2 little bonfires, and you can see near the fires like sporadic movement of like the goblins moving about within the camp, or doing any manner of things. So you'd have to draw nearer to even have like a clear shot, for instance, but not too much further. You just have to find a favorable kind of like lane for which to look down the trees.
I'll use scout ahead then.
Okay, and can you describe that move again for me?
When I go off on my own to explore a dangerous area, say how I do it and roll plus deck.
Okay, so you're gonna need to part with the bard here to get the full benefit. Like you could just
Okay.
wait at the edge of the forest here.
So I'm
And,
just gonna try and
yeah.
sneak around.
Okay, so you want to sneak closer to
Yes.
like. Okay, that's good enough for me. So go ahead and do your move.
And this would be 2d6.
Yep, plus your dex. Excellent. It should say what the results are of the move.
So I get to
Obviously,
ask.
a 10 or higher is good.
Yeah, I get to ask 3 on the discern realities list.
Okay, so you're able to scout it. You're able to move closer and get the 3 questions. That sounds kind of like a 2-for-1 move when you succeed at it. Okay. I'm gonna say first of all.
Oh, real fast also.
Yeah.
On hit, I make it back safely.
Oh, okay. So
I
if you.
will return.
I see. Okay. So yeah, just take a look at that list of questions. You can ask me 3 questions off of there and return to the edge of the woods.
What
I'll
happened?
just say, since you said it's your intention to return, I'm going to say by the time you come back, John and his little gang are going to be approaching.
Sounds
Is this
good.
the farm?
He's at the edge of the woods, which is about 300 yards away from the farm.
Okay, well, we'd go to the farm first.
Oh, okay. So I'll say it this way: when you get back, John is going to be hitting the farm up. So
Okay.
yeah, which you'd probably be able to see them from your position because you've got some keen sights, and they wouldn't be a silent approaching entity, I don't think. So.
No.
All right. What are your 3 questions?
What happened here recently?
Okay. Since Ragnar first surveyed the situation, another one of the farmers has regrettably been killed. So we've got 2 dead farmers now. There are 4 who are left alive, and the remaining 4 appear to be in imminent danger. So that's the answer to that question. Not the best news, unfortunately, but no.
Okay. and then what here is useful or valuable to me.
Yep, and
what
I
should
see. Gotcha. Okay. So as you're surveying around, you actually notice that there is one of the farmer's children who actually has crawled a good chunk away from the goblins. However, her wrists and ankles are bound, yet she somehow made it this far away from where you're kind of scouting without attracting their attention. It would be a pretty simple manner for you to scoop her up in your arms and take her with you.
Okay.
And because you rolled so well on your scout ahead, I would allow you to do that and not change your ability to return.
Okay, then I'll retrieve the daughter.
Okay, the young girl. Okay. What should you be on the lookout for? You notice that as you're making your final kind of scouting out as you're returning back, you see there are 3 trip lines that the goblins have set facing your direction of where you came in from the woods. And you see the trap mechanisms for the trip lines. They go further up the trees, and you see there's basically some wooden stakes that they've fashioned that'll likely kind of just fall down on whoever's right underneath there. So potentially a dangerous trap, but you'll be able to remember where they are based on spotting them now.
Alrighty.
Okay.
So, do I have another chance to move?
Well, if you decide that you don't want to return back to where you left the bard, that would be fine, but then, we'd take it from there. But otherwise, this is what I can pretty much tell you, apart from really basic questions from your move that you took.
Alright, then I'll make it back to Merc.
Okay. In the meantime, John, you, Ronald, and the remaining guards arrive at the farmstead. Clearly, there's been some violence here. You see, you actually see the dead proprietor of this estate, the Honorable. I put his name up here somewhere. You see Ralph Birchseed dead, along with one of the farmhands who has a bent pitchfork in his hand. Everyone else seems to be missing. You see that the livestock barn has been emptied out. And just some basic break-in signs at the farmhouse.
Hope to God it wasn't true.
This is grim. Perhaps the others can be saved still. And if you wish, Mac, you could initiate communication. You see that as you come back to the bard that a new party has arrived off in the distance at the farmstead. They have not yet spotted you, however. You're a less conspicuous group because the guards are carrying torches and stuff. But you also have your rescued child with you.
So are we about to enter combat?
No, you came back to the edge of the forest, so you are still away from the goblins' attentions. I'm saying that group you saw arrive, you see John and the guards back over at the farmstead from your position.
Okay. I'm gonna ask then if Ragnar can lure some over to near where the tripwires are. By any means, maybe if it's transforming into a barbarian again and just running near there, but watching out.
Okay.
So who's does the? It's the goblins' tripwires. I want to lure them
Yeah.
into their own tripwires.
Well, you lure them close, and then I'm planning on just shooting the tripwires with an arrow, and then it'll just trip
Oh.
them.
How can I avoid them?
Information?
What was
Become a flea.
You know about the tripwire.
I could become. So they're on the ground.
They
Like,
are.
For example, if I was a flying thing,
Mm-hmm.
if a wild flying thing attract all of them, what do goblins like?
People, like defenseless people. They clearly also like livestock.
Yeah,
Sure, I could be a livestock, but a livestock couldn't avoid tripwires.
You could maybe.
Does anyone want to
Conversation.
signal? Does anyone want to signal John and the guards, or are you gonna just let them investigate the farmstead right now?
Should we use the guard to our advantage?
John orders them into the forest, and they get massacred. Oh god! You guys
How big
charge
is the
in
guard?
after. He's got Ronald plus 8, so he's got 9 guards with him.
All right.
I mean, they are worth more than your average goblin in a fight, but if the goblins are alerted, you don't necessarily like your odds.
Perhaps before we alert the goblins to our presence, we can try this tripwire thing, and then after that, it's just probably straight out combat.
Okay.
So
Do you want to send somebody over to John and the others?
maybe
Why not Ragnar?
I can head over there.
Yeah, so because I'm gonna be busy steering it up,
Okay.
Okay.
I'll become a plains buffalo.
Okay.
And I will tell what you guys are doing to them, to John and.
All right, so you kind of like silently jog over to the farmstead and be like, "Hey, this is what's going on."
Actually, because this might become relevant, I'm going to. Let me just review my moves.
I do have camouflage, by the way, until I attack or make a quick movement.
Okay. Well, in
Okay.
these conditions, that camouflage will be enough to keep you concealed. I'll grant to you. Especially since you know about the traps.
So my beastkin background, when I shapeshift, I can choose a stat. My rolls using that stat will shapeshift and have advantage. And the GM will also choose a stat. My rolls using that stat will have a disadvantage. So I want to choose Dex for my buffalo.
So your buffalo's becoming very dexterous.
Hmm.
That's hilarious. I like it.
And then you can pick what he's bad at.
I'll say he's bad at wisdom. Because I just don't see him being the wisest buffalo.
And I'm thinking, again, I don't know. This might come in handy, so I should do by the rules. I have to like roll 2.
You should do everything by the rules. Yeah. Yep.
Because there could be conflict. Okay, 7 to 9. What does that mean? Okay, so I have 2 instinct, which is essentially, I think, my armor while I'm transformed, and it's also like if I make a bad move, I have to subtract from that before I revert.
Okay, I think I understand.
I'm buffaloed up, and so I grunt as if to say, just run straight to the tripwires.
Okay.
I guess
Well-
I'm asking. I want to ask Meg.
So here's the thing, like, as a buffalo, they'll certainly be aware of your presence, but I don't know what moves I'd be willing to grant to the buffalo as far as like luring. Like, I think you're just gonna have to hope that them noticing you will have the desired effect.
Right.
Yep.
I just want to ask, like, because of the luring, if they do follow me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to understand what I'm supposed to do.
I think, from what I understood from what Mac was talking, like, you would be, like, the tripwire would be between you and them, and he's, like, further in the back, and he's going to shoot it so that, like, you're not even close enough to be in harm's way, but he's trying to time it so that, like, he can shoot the tripwire and maybe, like, have the traps fall on them. Sounded like what his plan was.
Sounded correctly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't have to do much of anything apart from just stand there and be a
All right,
buffalo.
So to begin with, I'll probably just like roam near the goblins, like
Yeah. Okay.
not anything crazy. Just see.
All right. John, you see the bard like approaching your party.
Uh. What's your name? Turd?
Smart.
Mert, yes.
John, isn't that what they call toilets?
That's right.
Oh.
Maybe not. I mean, I don't know if we have toilets at
That's
this.
true. You're right. Outhouses.
Well, where are
I
the
do
others?
I do tell him. Yeah, I tell you the story of their tripwire. I mean, I understood it crudely. They were speaking very much in nature talk. So, but I tell them their idea.
Hmm.
But I'm here to.
Well, it's best we don't barge in then, I suppose.
Yes. Whatever advantage you can gain, Ronald says, we'll be happy to let you carry forward with your plan, and me and the boys are here for when that no longer becomes an option.
Well, truth be told, Ronald, I was told there are 40 goblins.
Oh, well, whoa. He puts his hands up and says, that might be a little bit more than we're equipped to handle.
Right. Now, I brought you out here to confirm the situation, but I think we need to regroup.
Yes, I suppose that's evidence enough, seeing what we saw at the farmstead and the words of your trusty bard here. Yes, if you give us a little bit of time, I'm sure I could come back with a contingent twice this size, and that would be a bit of a squarer match for that size of goblin force.
Well, I don't think these goblins are going anywhere real soon, but they are a problem.
Right. Well, what I mean, sounds like a plan is in place, so I suppose we'll see how it goes.
So you don't want to head back?
I mean, he's willing to head back, but he also seems to understand that you're about to try and initiate something, and he doesn't want to leave you high and dry if they come rushing out.
Well, I'm
So,
not
I'll leave it
initiating
up.
anything. I don't know
All
what
right.
exactly they're doing, but
No.
I think
Well,
you
then-
should. I think you should get to going.
We'll be at it, John.
I'll
He,
stay here.
Okay. He heads back into town in the attempt to marshal more help.
Alrighty.
Alrighty. Ragnar wanders a little bit closer to the goblins. He's been given detailed instructions of where the tripwires are. Even with his buffalo eyes, he can see the little glint of the line in the moonlight. So he's not in danger of tripping it over himself, since he knew to look for it. And such a formidable piece of meat does not go unnoticed by the goblin eyes of the encampment. And about 6 of them start scampering out towards you very rapidly. I imagine you'll kind of like slowly withdraw away from them.
Yeah. Basically,
Okay.
just try to act natural, but also run towards the tripwires.
Oh, you want to run toward? Because if you go further towards the tripwires, that's going to be towards the goblin.
That wouldn't be natural.
Okay, so
Oh,
you're
okay.
going to move away. Yeah.
Yeah, I start to withdraw.
All right.
Roam casually.
Yep. And Mac, you've got your arrow notched, bow trained. You're going to try and snipe that trip line at the most opportune moment.
Yep.
All right. Even in their feral pursuit of the buffalo, the goblins do take note of the tripwire, and they definitely are like in the process of stepping over it. They're not actually taking the way around it, as that would inconvenience them, and they see no reason not to. So the golden opportunity does present itself. They are in the right in the wrathful direction of those traps. So if you land the shot, you imagine it would do considerable damage here.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be a volley move, uh, with your intent being to spring the trap. So let's see how it goes.
2d6 plus dex.
That is correct. Damage is pretty meaningless here. Yeah, you hit the string of the tripwire dead on, and your timing is flawless. And 3 of the goblins are impaled on the spikes. At their death, um, the encampment is stirred, and larger numbers begin like coming that way. So you're gonna have more on the way. However, you do know that there are still 2 other tripwires from the main avenues leading to the camp.
Yep.
So I
And-
imagine it'll be your plan to continue sniping those as they approach.
That is correct.
Okay. More intelligent creatures might avoid this mistake, but you've got another group, I'll just say another group of 3 that are rushing to the flanking direction, approaching their other trap. So you can take another shot. Okay. Is that little Felix?
Lock.
Locke, excuse me. Yeah, not Felix.
That
Locke.
was a lot.
Oh. How's he doing?
He's getting big and annoying.
All right. Since it wasn't a resounding success this time, how I'm going to rule that, Mac, is you get another clean triple kill on one of the traps, but by the point that you'd have to pivot and aim at the other one, the gig's up and they avoid going that way. So, not too bad, all things considered. They've taken
Alright.
considerable casualties, but not enough to deter them. They're more angry right now than anything. So you're going to have the bulk of the encampment rushing towards the tree line, where I mean, you're actually a little bit in on the tree line, so you'd either have to withdraw or find some other way to position yourself. So, John, were you just staying back at the farmstead, or would you be
I'm at the
approaching this?
farmstead.
Okay. So, and I think the bard was also there with you. I
He
mean,
was. I don't know
yeah.
if he left.
Was it your intention to like sprint back after delivering the message?
Well, I think time-wise, Ronald had left already, and I'd like to inform them that they're just the 2 of them they're dealing. You know. So maybe I've come back to. Yeah, I don't know. Where's Ragnar and all that? What happened
Well,
to him?
Ragnar's a buffalo,
He's
but
still the bait. He's still the bait.
right, but he's seeing that at this point, especially after Mac connects that second shot, that he's probably going to want to adjust his situation here. So, yeah, what would you like to do at this point, Ragnar? The goblins are now full on sprinting in your direction towards the edge of the forest. The whole horde of them.
I'd like to turn into a wolf now.
Okay. And now this doesn't require dice rolling when you shapeshift, is from what I understand.
Well, I think I have to retest how many holds I get.
Okay.
basically, And I can
Well-
do the attribute thing.
It does involve a dice roll, because if he fails, he doesn't shapeshift, right?
Let me look that up.
Oh, no.
No.
On a 6, you hold an instinct, but the GM gets to make a move.
Ooh, okay. I like making moves. I get to make the
There.
moves.
Aren't you glad I mentioned that,
Yes,
Thomas?
yes. All
That's
right.
better than not doing it.
Yeah.
I should have just stayed at Buffalo. Stampeded.
All right. Well, you shapeshift out of your bison form. However, you were an ample target for a while, and even though Mac has dispatched 6 of the goblins, they have their own ranged weapons, and you are struck with a goblin arrow as you finish shapeshifting into the wolf.
I don't know how many hit points I have.
That's something we will
16.
want to. Oh, okay, there you go.
Okay.
All right, so you are struck by a goblin arrow for 4 damage.
Does armor? What does armor do? Does it ever do damage?
Armor, let's see.
Combat.
We are in combat. Let's see. It's been a while. I haven't actually had to look up armor yet, so let's take a look. I believe that I might actually have to look at my main book for. It might not even go into the specifics of how armor.
Does he have armor?
I have armor 1.
Yeah, so I think that just reduces damage you take by 1, unless
Yeah.
Ziggy says that it bypasses it.
No, this I think. Yeah, you take so it's negated to 3, so 3 damage. Yep.
Now, if I take the form of a creature both dangerous and fearsome, I can choose one of the following tags to add to my natural attacks.
Okay.
It's not explained anywhere what these equate to. It can either be forceful or messy.
Those do have mechanical effects. I just would have to look them up.
Okay, I did like a search in the PDF, at least the one I was looking at. It's like mentioned a bunch, but I never see it explained.
Right. Yeah, gain forceful tag, gain messy tag. Right. That could be an interpretive tag. Let me. I think I have the main book downstairs. I'll be right back.
Looks like messy causes them to have disadvantage, maybe?
Where are you getting that?
Oh, well, if you look at like first aid, if your subject had recently been hit by a messy attack, the die roll has disadvantage. Maybe messy messes people up.
I wonder why they don't just explain that.
I could have sworn they did.
I mean, those tags are everywhere.
Alright. I've got the book in hand, unless it's already been answered.
No.
No.
I don't think
No.
the tags are explained.
Alright. Yeah, tags. Okay, there's. Let's see. Weapon tags, 323. Okay, forceful can knock someone back a pace, maybe even off their feet. Messy does damage in a particularly destructive way, ripping people and things apart.
Alright, I think I'll go with messy.
Okay, so we'll increase the carnage of your successful attacks, I guess. Maybe either killing as opposed to wounding more, or the number of goblins based on how many draw near. Sounds good. Okay. So you shape-shifted, and what tag you get? Oh yeah, you gained messy.
Oh, yeah, and we can do the
Yep.
attribute thing. I want to take an advantage on strength, and you can disadvantage me at something else.
Okay. I'll do Dex for your disadvantage.
Okay.
All right, and then we've got Mac. He's got his bow out. And did you decide what your course of action was, Ragnar? The thing is, if you want to go chasing after the guards, that is going to delay you from joining the fray, if that's your intention.
You mean me?
Yep. Sorry, I mean, Mert, yeah.
No,
Heard.
I meant that when the guards went, I meant to go to it and let them know that the guards have gone back to town to try.
Oh, okay.
That's
So
what
you'll
they're-
just be,
they're
you'll kind of
doing
be
this
walking
alone.
onto the scene. Yeah.
Yes, and I do have a ragged bow that says I can see the whites of their.
That's
Okay.
like the feature of the bow, see the whites of their eyes.
Well, no, near is the tag, which is the raid, which is useful for attacking if you can see the whites of their.
Okay. So, like, if they're at, like, point blank range,
Right.
pretty
So
much.
I mean, there's like hand, which is literally there. There's close, which is a little bit. There's reach, and then there's near and far. Far
Okay.
is like shouting distance. So
Yeah.
I'm closer than that if I would. So.
All right. So, I think I'm gonna begin the scene, and then after, like, we have the druid and the ranger and the goblins go, then you'll be stepping on.
Sounds good.
Okay. So, um, druid and ranger, you guys are a little bit apart from each other, but yeah, you've been firing away with your bow, and you just shapeshifted into a wolf. You've got the remainder of the encampment of angry goblins. Perhaps there's a few that stayed back, but you can see there's at least, like, over 2 dozen charging at you. Both of you are visible right now. And yeah, they have, for the most part, little cruel looking daggers and short swords. Some have little hatchets, and a few you can see are beginning to slacken their pace as they raise up either slingshots or short bows aiming at you. So, what do you do?
So I actually have an ability or a move
Okay.
that would
Most,
activate.
yeah, the term move and ability are kind of like interchangeable usually in this.
All right. So when I enter the battle, I answer the following questions.
Okay.
Am I neither encumbered, not wearing armor with a clumsy tag, which I have leather armor, which is not clumsy.
No.
Oh, it is?
No, I agree. It's not clumsy.
Oh.
So you meet the conditions. Yes.
Okay. Have I scouted this threat, which is another yes.
Yep.
Is there ample room to maneuver here?
Okay, I'm going to say no to that. You
Okay.
need to get further away from the forest before there's ample room to maneuver.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is the enemy much larger than I am?
No.
Alrighty.
So you've got some yeses and some nos. I don't know how
So-
many yeses you needed.
That was 2. So for
Okay.
each yes, I get 1 readiness.
Okay.
And I can spend that to do different things. So I'm just gonna put down 2 readinesses, like in
Okay.
my mind.
Do you get to take those immediately?
I can expend them later on or immediately.
Oh. All right.
So it is anytime during this battle. If it's a different battle, I can't.
Right. And in Dungeon World, just as a reminder, you guys are describing your actions. I'm not really like coordinating and lining up like Goblin Chieftain moves here, activates this ability. Goblin Archer does that's how it's distinct from D&D in that I'm just primarily concerned with I told you what here in the book. What was the name of that ability?
Skirmisher.
Oh yeah, so this is just when you enter a battle, right? So yeah, this does not count as your move. So you are still ready to take action.
Awesome. Then I will start off with a volley, and I'll shoot at the nearest group that looks like I can hit multiple, maybe with 1 arrow if I send it hard enough.
Simple enough. I like it. since you're able to fire from where you're standing, I think it's definitely appropriate to start with your move here. So let's see what your volley does. Okay, so you got a 7. So you're going to deal damage from your volley, but you get to choose one of those effects from the result. Yep. So you're going to roll less damage. You're going to endanger yourself, or you're going to need to spend a supply to reload.
I'll take what I can get.
Okay, so you're going to roll disadvantage for your damage roll. So you're going to roll damage what you would normally do twice, and you're going to take the worst of the two results. Okay, I think that'll be it. Yep. Okay. You fire at the closest goblin as he's bum rushing you. You send an arrow through his shin. That checks his advance towards you. He's going to need a moment to recover, but it certainly didn't kill him. And you get the feeling that the longer this battle goes on, the more goblins that become wounded or dead. Eventually, their will's going to break. You guys are not the farmsteaders, the easy quarry that they had earlier, and you already killed 6 of them. But this is a very dangerous part of the battle right here when they're freshly enraged by the discovery of their dead comrades and with a numerical advantage over you. Ragnar, you just turned into a wolf. You've got goblins that will be in front of you very soon. What would you like to do?
I would like to charge into them and start shredding.
Start mauling them to death? Okay. Yep. That sounds like a hack and slash to me, unless you have a specific feral move. Probably
nope.
not. Okay. Yeah, then I think you took a boost to your strength.
Yeah, an advantage. So what does that mean?
So that when you resolve, I think that means when you resolve damage, you do so with advantage. So no. So is it an advantage for the move?
That wouldn't make sense if he had picked wisdom, would it? No, he does 3d6. Takes the 2 highest.
Drop the lowest.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Should set you up for a nice hack and slash. Well, it's good enough for an 8.
It'll be 7.
So he rolled 9 or less, so he has to spend an instinct, of which he only has 1. So if he does that again, he reverts back.
He'll be a man biting the goblin.
He will.
Instead. Yeah.
Do I revert back? When do I revert back?
When you either must spend an instinct or you revert back. So if you can't spend the instinct,
still wolf-like. But if I try to do it again,
you roll 9 or less. Yeah.
It would happen instantly, like before the move results, or after.
I would think after. It would be like you expended it, and then
when you make a move while shapeshifted, get 9 or less, you must spend an instinct or you revert back to your normal form.
Still not clear.
No, I guess it's up to Ziggy.
But right now you had 1 instinct spent, so we'll deal with it. We'll deal with it in the future. So your actual roll was 6 plus 2.
6 plus 1.
Oh, 6. So it is a 7. All right. Well, then you're gonna roll damage, and you'll take any retaliating damage from the goblins.
Damage, just 1d6 or.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, yep.
Strength.
You have messy though, so I'll keep that in mind.
Does strength apply?
Yes.
Does it?
Okay.
Oh, man. I would think it would, but you're right. I don't know for sure. Let's see.
No, I think in everybody's kit it says what kind of damage they do, and most of us 1d6 plus 0.
The damage has been pretty standardized.
Right, because yeah, if it would be a D8, it would upgrade to a D6 plus 1.
Right.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So it is actually it's more difficult to get the modifier. So you rolled a 5 with messy, so that's quite good. You maul to death 2 of the goblins that approach you, and you take a hatchet in the process of this. That ends up doing 2 damage with your armor. We've got 8 goblins dead and 1 wounded right now. So you've already done considerable damage to the horde. But again, there's a numbers game to be played right now. And as that round transpires, there are more and more goblins getting within striking range of you as the battle goes on and beginning to get onto your flanks as well. But the bard has entered the scene. You come to the edge of the forest, running from the farmstead, Mert, and see that Ragnar and Mac are hard pressed by goblins.
Okay. Have either of them actually? I know I heard Ragnar take that 1 hit of 3 damage. Has Mac been hit at all?
So, I need to actually see the recovery because Mac took damage prior to the session from my question generation, and I don't think he's healed that yet. It depends if he could have healed that while he was resting at John or at the inn, or if he needed to actually go to sleep overnight for that to heal. But as a matter of fact, Ragnar's actually taken damage twice. He's taken a total of 5 damage. So he's actually taken more anyway.
Alright, well then, I will start playing my harmonica.
Okay.
And I will do Vox Arcanus. Yes. So
Okay.
I had 3 songs I got to choose from. Long story short, the one one of them I chose is the healing one. So I do have to roll a 2d6 plus charisma, because it still has to like hit. So I play, but it
Yeah. And it just for reference, Mac hasn't healed yet. He needs like pretty much a full day of rest, and then he'll just recover all of his HP, even if he was down to 1 left.
Okay. Well, I rolled a 12.
Yeah, it's very good.
Mine is one of those 10 plus. It's the effect happens and nothing bad.
Yeah.
So he gets Ragnar gets 1. I roll 1d6 plus 1.
Okay, nice.
Yep.
He's going to be able to keep mauling for days with a heal like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. Alright, 3 HP back.
Not bad.
So one of those hits he's taken.
Yep, right.
He got healed of it.
Music notes fly into the wound and patch it up. Yep.
Yep. And I mean that's pretty much. I mean, if my harmonica distracts them towards me, we'll deal with it. But for now, the goblins will be both tormented by my harmonica and
that infernal dim.
It'll be the dirge of death for them if we succeed. So.
All right, interesting. So you're saying that applies a tag to them, the music.
No.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just saying, like, it's more
flavor. Okay,
flavor.
I see. Okay.
I do have ancient tongue, which lets me speak for a short time any sentient being's language. So if there are any goblins right at the end, I may speak to them.
Oh, you certainly could like shout out to them, like tear your lips away from your harmonica for a moment if you wanted to say something to them.
But right now seems not the time yet. It's
Okay.
too much chaos.
All right. Ancient tongue, like you have like a mummified tongue in your mouth. The rest of your body is perfectly healthy, but you've got this. No, I'm just kidding. Lady trouble. All right. Anyway, that's gonna flip over the round. So, you guys feel like the battle is going reasonably well. It's just the matter of how many goblins you're facing right now, and
Are the
it's
guards
good.
getting involved?
No, they are on their way back to town.
What?
They are.
Yes,
They're getting more help.
you get the sense that it is just me.
Yep.
John is just sitting there,
Yeah.
scribing.
He is.
I mean, I'm not a combat character.
Nope.
Right.
I have 7 HP.
The legend of John will definitely be one of keeping gates open and telling guards to leave.
I mean, hey, you guys don't help out in social situations, so
No,
I don't have
it's
to help
true,
out in
buddy.
combat situations.
I am literally built completely for social situations.
Well, that's a first.
I'm
All right.
lore master.
All right, we're gonna put you in charge then. What the fuck is John doing?
I don't know.
Why
All
did
right.
the guards leave?
The guards went to go back and get 30 more guards to kill the 40 goblins.
Okay.
Yep. All right, but anyway, it is. We're flipping back to the round, and as I mentioned, you've got more goblins who you can lash out at, but more that you were going to take attacks from. So it's getting a little dicey. It is. It's up to you guys then.
Well, I mean, you should be attacking with the goblins, and they should be reacting. Is more like it.
Oh, that's true.
There isn't like
yeah.
rounds or anything.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah. As a matter of proceeding, then they are. Well, we'll do it one player at a time here. The bard is not in harm's way as of yet. But for the wolf, they are essentially trying to just surround you with their melee weapons and hack at you. And it's pretty similar for Mac as well. They notice you're just felling them with your bow and arrow, so if they can just kind of get close to you and probably gonna just try and like grab their hands onto your bowstring to keep you from firing. That you're facing similar situations for both of you where you're just getting bum rushed. So, how do you wish to respond to that? Are you gonna just stand your ground and keep attacking, or do you want to do any sort of withdrawing action?
Where are there any goblins by any chance near that other tripwire still?
Possibly, but you'd have to strain yourself to see that, because right now you've got goblins that are much closer to you, and at least initially after you got that second one to spring the trap on them, they had been avoiding it. So you would risk to be able to look at that tripwire properly. Like you'd have to risk ignoring the ones that are right next to you at this point.
Then I'll use one of my my points,
Okay.
my readiness point, and I'm gonna disengage from melee range of an enemy.
All right.
In retaliation.
Okay. And then is the idea to just make a clean break and just run, or is it your intention to like, just create some distance and then keep firing again?
Create some distance and then fire.
Okay. Well, I believe a readiness point you can just spend as like a currency. It doesn't substitute your move, so that allows you to gracefully step away and continue firing if you wish.
How many are in this group?
I mean, there were like 4 right next to you, but you could shoot at like you've probably got about like 12 viable targets right now.
Are there any lined up in which I could possibly hit another collateral?
Oh, so like 2 for 1.
Yes.
Sure.
With disadvantage.
I was gonna say might be a little bit tougher.
Right. Then I
wouldn't impose disadvantage. I would just say -1.
Then I'll see what I can get out of this one, and I'll use another readiness point to draw an enemy's attention to you and lure them into a bad position.
Oh, if you're gonna spend a readiness point, I'll let you do the 2 for 1 without the penalty.
I'll see if I could get more than 2, or possibly just put one
More
into
than 2.
worse.
Jesus, man. You're level 1, dude. You're not fucking Legolas.
I want to be. Let's see
Don't
what
we
I
all?
can do, though.
All right. Well, yeah, let's see the effect of your volley. You're spending the readiness point. You've got a good lineup at 2, and maybe you could get part of a third one in there. Okay. Well, go ahead and roll damage. Okay. That kills another 2 goblins.
I'll take it.
All right.
I'll, one more time. Continue
Yep.
ripping and shredding.
Mm-hmm. You know what I will ask of you.
Ooh, Tommy boy.
So hold on. What is that? That's a 6. So does that not even hit?
Take damage and you become a
That means-
man.
That means I get to make a move and your attack is unsuccessful. Unless, I think, what if you spend the instinct?
He doesn't have any.
Oh, okay. Yep. So,
They're gonna knock the wolf out of me.
yeah, it goes poorly for you. You find yourself biting them with your human teeth. And you get stabbed again. This time, in this transitory phase, you don't have armor to help.
Even if my man shape has armor.
He found a particularly critical spot to strike during that, like as you were transforming. So going forward, you'll have the armor, but in this case, you take the full 4. Mac, you see that things aren't going as well for Ragnar over there.
Yep. I've got a quick question, actually.
Yes.
So, as a ranger, I have a command move. Would I be able to use that on Rangar?
Highly doubtful, but let me see. I'm looking up your move that you're talking about.
Because if next turn, if I attack the same target as it, we can add its ferocity to my damage.
I'm going to say since he's actually humanoid now, no.
All right.
You can experiment next time when he's beast form.
Awesome. Well, I just wanted to know if it would be of any use.
Yeah. Okay. Mert. Ragnar's taking some more damage there.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I mean, so that's so. What is Ragnar's actual HP? Just painting the scene. How badly does he look?
So he's taken 4 more since you healed him.
Okay. And goblin wise, there's 10 in sight.
In total, right now, there's about 15 in sight. They could be in a position to overwhelm your position.
Correct. That's why.
Yep.
Thomas, how much HP do you have left?
10.
Okay. I'm gonna do Arcanus again, but this time, I'm going to do a tongue. But let's see how it goes. Okay, I rolled a 9.
Yep.
So that means I succeed, but I have to choose one. What is that? I've been keeping even though I wrote it in the kit. I have to choose between, I gain the ability to speak the language of any sentient creature for a short time, which is obviously these goblins.
Yep.
If I do a 7 and 9, I have to choose between my performance reverberates to other targets you didn't intend to hit, affecting them as well. The GM will say how. I'm okay with that. Because otherwise I'd be intoxicated by my performance and have disadvantage on all charisma rolls. Or I draw unwanted attention or expose myself to danger. So I think my performance of Ancient Tongue reverberates to other targets I didn't intend to hit.
Okay, so other people can speak Goblin.
Suddenly, people
Well,
start speaking Goblin.
The GM gets to say how, so it might not affect them the same way.
Right.
Right.
They might be stuck talking Goblin and can't understand each other or something weird like that.
Correct. And I don't
All
know
right.
short time what that means, but
Yeah.
so suddenly they're coming up. I'm a harmonica. I stop. My music is going, but then I stop, and they hear me say, 38 guards are coming. Do you value your lives? They will slaughter you as you stand. I've come
Okay.
here. You have a choice. You can feed on this wolf and die within minutes, or you can run and save yourself.
Not bad. I'll grant you a parlay for that.
Okay. Now, I have no idea what that move means.
So basically, you're asking them to do something, and if you okay, well,
I didn't mean to actually click it, to be honest.
But you did, didn't you?
it's unfortunate that you did, because, well, you know what? I'll give you a +1 because the fact that they're being addressed in their own language is atypical, so that helps you in your favor. Okay. So
that should have a +2 on it because it didn't add my charisma modifier.
all right, so either
Yeah, it
way,
did.
it's in the 7 to 9
Did it?
range.
Yeah, you rolled a 3 and a 1 plus
Yeah.
2.
Yep.
Oh, I don't.
So you
I
needed
can't
the
do
plus
that.
1. You needed
Okay.
the +1. Yep. Okay. So does this allow you to understand them? They talk back.
Oh, I have it for a short time. Yeah.
Okay. They one of the bigger one kind of steps forward at your words and says, "You stop those wretched arrows and you call back your man beast, and we will agree."
I say to him, I can do that right now.
Okay.
And I do it. I tell them stop fighting.
I do it.
Okay. Do you guys cease fighting as the bard requests of you? You can tell like he's been talking to them.
So we see that the goblins are like not imminently attacking anymore.
They're pausing their onslaught of you.
Okay.
Like they're allowing you to take a step back or two.
Sure, I'll walk
Yeah, I'll
back.
hesitate.
Okay. He says to
Split.
you, "Any sign of treachery, and you will regret having done so. But we will leave you with what we have taken thus far." And he begins to signal them back into the forest.
And I give the same signal of like backing away from the goblin encampment.
So
This
Okay.
was the parlay for a 7?
Well, yeah.
You have to do something to convince them it'll be costly, tricky, or distasteful.
Well, I mean, basically, Mert said that he'll let them go with what they've got as long as they don't attack him again. And apparently,
Was that distasteful though?
maybe
Just-
to Mert it is.
I don't think
Yeah,
it
I
is.
mean, I don't like. I mean, who knows what they took with them? Body parts and
What happened to the hostages?
They still have him.
yeah. I mean, this nothing I can do about that.
Yep.
Except we.
How many
do have
hostages?
We have the one hostage, or the girl still. Right?
Yeah, they have. From your recollection, they still have 3 hostages.
Okay.
I really want to hunt and track.
How is
That's
this
the
a better
thing.
result than just not attacking them in the first place?
Right now, I would say it's not. But that's.
Yes, I agree. Oh no,
Yep.
I agree with. I was
I
just
mean-
putting a band-aid on a bad situation.
I mean, we killed like 8 of them,
You killed 10 and
think
wounded
10.
1.
so
Okay.
that's what we did.
All right.
You see the one that you spoke with, the who you presume the chief. You see he murmurs something and throws some like red powder above him, and then he turns his back and walks away. So
And I obviously have no understanding.
no, you don't know what that means. Right.
Okay. I will catalog it into my memory.
I saw a strange sight in the woods. Goblin spoke
Red
into this
powder
powder.
as well.
Yeah. All right. Then for now, the combat is ended, and we'll end the session here with the goblins withdrawing back into the woods. The message sent into town, and you guys still wounded, but yeah, clearly
And they
some
didn't
unresolved
take,
things here.
They didn't
Yeah.
take like the bodies of their allies with them, did they?
No, there's corpses here.
So I mean, proof of goblins being real, like actually
They
attacking
are real. Yep,
is present.
They exist.
they do. All right, so this is still end of session. So let's take a look at the XP milestones. Okay.
So that's gotta be in the normal book.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. Because remember, when you fail a move, you mark XP, I think.
Well, Thomas definitely failed that one.
He did. Yep.
Wait, what did I fail?
You rolled a below a 6, or 6 or lower.
Does that mean I don't get an XP?
That means you get an XP.
Oh, I gain one?
All right.
Yeah, Dungeon World, you succeed by failure.
Ah, good.
So John Smith is succeeding by seceding.
I don't get XP.
No, I know. Well, you do from bonds, but
No, I don't get XP.
oh.
You never grow in strength?
Nope.
No, wait. Right.
You just keep getting bonded?
I mean, I can form bonds, which a couple of them do give me permanent buffs, but that's it.
But then I don't know if it really details how difficult that is.
All right, so
Like,
let's
it's not
see.
generic, right?
This is still. Oh, level up move. Maybe it'll say something about that. Okay, end of session resolution. So, for those of you who track XP, first of all, see if you ever completely failed a move. Unfortunately, Mert, I granted you the bonus +1, so that means you did not fail your parlay.
Right.
Which,
I
yep, oh,
succeeded.
you did. Okay, so I think that was only Ragnar who outright failed, so he gets an XP from that. Yep. I I think you guys all learned something new and important about the world this session. You learned about the existence of the goblins. You learned about the intents of one of the factions. Yeah, you definitely all you all fulfilled that one. You did. I'm gonna say you can all mark overcoming a notable monster or enemy, mainly in conjunction with the fact that you survived this goblin encounter and you actually got out of a couple of situations earlier where there could have been a big violence, but you didn't. You overcame it in that you resolved the situation without dying. But you did not loot a memorable treasure this session. So that's going to be 2 XP for everybody, and then bonus for Thomas, for Ragnar there. So that's not level 2 for anybody yet, but
What is even?
so it's pretty slow.
Current level plus 10. You have to subtract. You have to spend.
So 11.
Once you get 11, you can spend it. Yeah.
Okay. And that's how it keeps building. 12.
Yeah, and in the base book they have it's 7, but they might have scaling a bit different for this.
Well,
Let me, because Mang, you must be looking at the PDF for that 10 figure.
That's the only thing I've been looking at.
What page is that has the 10 on it?
12.
Because I want to see if they have different categories for when you gain XP. Or if that's all sounded correct.
Well, basically, if you've resolved a bond and it's no longer relevant, you get an XP.
Yeah, okay.
And if you
Yeah, then
did
the
your
other ones are the
drive,
same. Yeah.
you get XP.
Oh yeah, let's review that. So let's review drives quick too. Did you
Eliminate-
each a natural
eliminate-
threat?
Yeah.
Okay, you
Every
definitely
object
haven't
natural.
you haven't eliminated it this session, so you're not going to mark that. Do you have a drive, Mert?
do I have a drive? I don't know. Diplomacy. Avoiding
Okay.
conflict
Oh,
or
he did that.
diffuse
Yeah,
advanced
no, you definitely got it. Yeah, go ahead. Even though, despite being absent for half the session, you did do diplomacy at the end.
Yep,
So yeah,
yep, I did.
okay.
Your drive is to avoid conflicts, and I'm playing like a pacifist. So
Yeah,
if we
that's
play our
some
cards
great
right,
synergy.
we can never get into combat again.
And the other two are like the opposite. So
Of course.
Yeah.
I
mean,
they'll be
yeah.
making combat, and I'll be diffusing.
And then what is your drive, Mac?
Naturalist, which is help an animal or spirit of the wild.
Nope,
He
I
helped
don't.
me
It's
as an animal.
Ooh, that's
That's
the thing.
cheese. That's cheese.
That's double, yeah, that's
Combo.
a little too much double dipping. I'm gonna say unless it's an extraordinary circumstance, that needs to be an NPC animal or spirit, not a player character, because that overlaps with bonds a little too much there. So
No worries.
okay, all right, that is our first session. I think there's gonna be some questions or some more resolution for the town situation next session, but hopefully you guys can take a lot of credit for killing what goblins that you did, jockeying that to your favor as far as who's going to reign supreme in Haven.
Alright.
Maybe you'll be able to bring a grand council of all 3 factions together in one place and just talk things over.
Or we just say, fuck this place.
And just
Go
leave
somewhere
and
cool.
go. Yep, right. That. Yep.
Goblins eating their farmers.
That's John Smith's dream.
All right. Good stuff, guys. We'll see you next time.